800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
It's time for Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Thursday afternoon. Week's all messed up with the Tigers. It feels like we've gotten into a habit of them playing on Thursday nights. Then they got a Wednesday night game this week. So my week's all thrown off. Johnny Hill producing us as always. But the Tigers in that game last night, a big win at home over Charlotte to get back to their winning ways. So we'll talk a lot about that today throughout the show. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Bryant. Last night, any dream scenario of 4-1, 3-2 down the stretch had to have last night in it.
Yeah, no, you had to win last night if you wanted to. I think even talk about a winning record over these last 5 games. It had to start with a win at home last night over Charlotte, and they got the job done and made it look pretty easy at the end of that game. So I think certainly a positive night at FedEx Forum.
It was a big one tonight in the American, and I really don't know who should we be pulling for. SMU and FAU tonight in the standings. FAU in third. They got the tiebreak right now over SMU. FAU's 10-3, SMU's 10-3, but the tiebreak goes to FAU. Who should we be pulling for? Does it matter?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it really matters much. I guess if you want to try to sell yourself on the Tigers play really hot down the stretch and try to get to that 4, which seems almost impossible. You would need a team like SMU to only win one more or win no more down the stretch.
Done seeing them and got to see FAU twice.
Right. So I think you would want to root for SMU, but I really don't think it matters that much.
I don't either, because I don't think a third place at the AAC tournament is really likely. Fourth, maybe, but I don't think highly likely.
No, and I think if you want that 4th spot, you're going to need to start rooting for teams like Charlotte, teams like SMU to start falling apart. So that might be where you root for FAU tonight to beat SMU. Today
the Tigers would be the 6th, but North Texas hadn't played 14 games yet, and they have the tiebreak over Memphis, and they don't meet again. There's no return game to Memphis. That game down there is it this year. But last night was good. What was it like in the building?
Yeah, I mean, I think the people that were there were certainly into it, and especially when the Tigers were rolling. It was one of those. It felt like one of those where the people that were in attendance last night wanted the team to know that they were still behind them. A lot of standing ovations at different times, a lot of people getting really loud at different points. I know like when Malcolm got introduced into the starting lineup, there was a big ovation for him at different points during the game. When the Tigers go on a run, it got really energetic in there. And so it seemed like a lot of empty seats last night, and I think even Jason Munns tweeted that out last night of if you wanted some sort of response to Memphis's lack of effort on Sunday, it's you kind of see it in the lack of people that have shown up tonight. But the people that were there were certainly engaged and into that game last night.
Yeah, and it was never in doubt. The late, great Jack Eaton could say the only thing in doubt is the margin of the Tigers' victory. Really from when they got the earliest lead and from then on, it was all Memphis in the second half. Was really easy.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I think Memphis
had a game at halftime.
Sure, yeah, and I think Memphis' defense stepped up, and for Charlotte just came out really flat in the second half, and really struggled. I mean, 32% from the field in the second half after shooting a blistering 58% from the field in the first half, and shot about 55% from 3 in that half. And this is not a good Charlotte 3-point shooting team, but they were lighting it up early, and in the second half just couldn't get anything going, came out really flat. Their point guard, who's also the leading scorer, had 3 fouls early, and had to sit on the bench most of the first half, and really could never get into a rhythm, with a mix of not being able to be out there, and Tigers kind of matched him with length, kind of a smaller point guard. But no, I thought a really, really good game from the Tigers.
If the Tigers win out the next 4 and finish 23-8, you and Johnny both had 23-8 in the preseason.
Wow.
I had 24-7.
Wow.
I cannot get to 24 wins.
No,
in the regular season.
No, you cannot. But hey, Johnny, if they keep rolling, keep playing hot, I mean, we're in business.
Yeah, we could be, man. We could
keep
be
rooting on those wins. And Johnny, the big winner last night.
The veritable Tiger savant these days. Johnny Hill, 9 straight wins on Tiger Bankroll. Very impressive, Johnny. 9 straight wins. You are 16-11 picking Tiger games this year when we pick against the point spread with that 9 straight. And it's been a mix. You've been on the Tigers. You've been against them. You've been able to catch up with them, in just about everything. The Tigers on the year last night takes their point spread record to 10-17, takes the regular season record to 19-8.
Wow.
Yeah, man. I just felt like it was an opportunity for them to show some pride, especially after losing so bad the game before, and everybody was on them. I just felt like, man, ain't no way they're gonna come out lackluster and get booed at home.
Yeah.
Man.
Right, last year
that was going to happen.
When you were so torrid last year with Tiger Bankroll, you went 26-9, counting the regular season, 31 games, 3 at Dickies, 1 in the tournament.
I believe so.
Does that add up? Yeah,
Maybe.
I think so.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's right. No, I mean, we had a good year
That's
last
35,
year.
yeah, 26-9, yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's just this team is so hard to figure out, and
For everyone.
I agree.
mean, you get a game like you had Sunday against SMU, and I think SMU is a good team, but I do not think they're a team that should be handling Memphis the way they did on Sunday. You get a game like that and then turn around and have a game like this where the Tigers dominate, and it just seems like every couple of games it's like that, and so hard to trust this team and hard to really get a grasp on how they are in terms of picking against their spreads.
Yeah, you're 11-16 against the spread, Brian. I'm 15-12. We both had Charlotte last night, so we've got to recoup. FAU on Sunday at ECU, home against UAB, and then the last regular season game of the year at FAU. And I'm beginning to doubt how good FAU is.
Yeah, and maybe we'll get a glimpse of that tonight. And I've been able to see FAU when I can this year, but certainly they've had their struggles in this conference, and and some losses that are some eyebrow raiser in non-conference too. The Bryant loss sticks out, but also have wins against
Beat
Arizona. So another kind of team hard to figure out, and a big game for them tonight against SMU as they get ready for this game, and should be if Memphis can take this confidence, take what they did last night against Charlotte into that game on Sunday against FAU. I think it's going to be a incredible game.
Dusty May in a lot of these job openings, coaching searches. From his background, I would be shocked if he's not the candidate at Indiana if Mike Woodson retires or they move on from Mike Woodson.
Yeah, it seems like that is the job that he wants. It seems like Indiana people want him, and it's kind of now he's in one of those games of, well, and hopefully he has somebody on the inside that can give him a good gauge of it, because, he's kind of sitting there with, job opportunities that are going to be out there this offseason. I think he will be a top candidate at a lot of these places, but do you want to kind of wait around and hope that Indiana comes open, or maybe go after a job like Ohio State or something else that might open up this offseason? So, I would be surprised if he's back next year. Maybe if, he hears Indiana give him one more year or something, maybe he comes back for another year and waits for that, hope tries to wait it out for that Indiana job. But I do think he's going to be coaching one of these, in one of these high major conferences next year.
If he leaves, we never hear about FAU again, do we?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly might not. I mean, when you get a coach like that in there, and I think we remember back to that run they went on last year, and everybody was pretty much saying, oh, after this run is over, all of these guys are going to leave. All of these guys are going to have high major offers or, NBA, good feedback from the NBA, and this team's going to be nothing next year. And, Dusty May is able to keep that team intact, and I think that is, huge about, the coach and being able to bring those guys back and building kind of that culture. And so, yeah, I think, it'd be hard to replace a guy like Dusty Mays, but, maybe, I didn't expect USF to make a hire like they did. So, I mean, you can make a hire.
I didn't either.
There,
That's right.
But I would be surprised if they're, the same type of team after he leaves them.
Since the Final Four run in 2006 for George Mason, that was Jim Larinaga, they've been to two NCAA tournaments since and didn't make any noise. Went in 2008 and 2011.
Yeah.
Butler, they were good life after Brad Stevens,
Sure.
but nothing like that. And Virginia Common's been good life after Shaka, but nothing like that.
No, and it's so hard. I mean, when you get these almost once-in-a-lifetime coaches that end up going on and being great coaches, and, it's just so hard to replace those type of guys. And so, hopefully for their sake, they can, be one of those teams that you'll see them in the tournament here or there. But, I doubt we see the sort of run and the sort of hype around FAU programs that we are seeing right now. I mean, I would say I think that George Mason comparison is a really good one.
All right, one of the places I get TV ratings news, y'all tell me, you and Johnny tell me, if you saw a headline that said 18% bump, would you think good, flattering, not good, what?
I would say pretty good, 18% bump. I'd say
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
If you saw a headline that had least watched, what would you think?
Oh, that's bad.
I would think
that's
bad.
terrible.
Yeah.
All right, one of the places I go for TV ratings news, he makes no bones about it. He loves the NBA and hates college football and baseball.
Really?
Really?
So the 18% bump headline was for the NBA All-Star Game rating Sunday night,
Okay.
which it was factually
Sure.
an 18% bump from the year before.
Yeah.
But that's a very kind of favorable headline, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The TV viewing for Sunday night for the All-Star Game in prime time was 4 million.
Okay.
And that headline was attached to 18% bump.
Okay.
Now, I'm with him on this next sport. I'm not much on it, especially how arrogant as they were around the turn from the 20th to the 21st century. But for the Daytona 500 that had to be run on Monday,
Yeah.
on Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock,
3
basically,
o'clock, yeah.
it got the least watched headline.
Really?
How many people you think watched it? 4 million for the All-Star Game that got the headline 18% bump. Least watched. How many do you think it got?
It's got to be. I mean, I was watching
Now,
it. I know that.
it is factual that it was the least watched.
Okay. I don't know how much the Daytona usually gets. I know it's big, but on a Monday afternoon, I'm going to say it's a little more. How about 5 million? How about that?
How about 6?
Whoa!
It beat the All-Star Game by 2 million viewers. And the
Dang.
All-Star Game with all of that
Yeah. Wow.
around the NBA and about the coziest media
Sure.
one could dream
Sure,
of.
absolutely.
Could you name, and I can't either, could you name anybody that was on the front row at the Daytona 500?
Man, I couldn't name you nobody.
No.
Any drivers? Me?
I mean, I watched it. I should, but I can't. I can't right now. No.
I seriously can't tell you who won.
I can't either. I watched it, and I don't remember who won. I know 2 racers that I bet on. They wrecked into each other on the last lap. So I had a top 5 and a top 10.
You bet on the Daytona 500?
I did, Brett. I bet on the Daytona 500. That's
What'd
right.
you bet?
Do we have that 800 number handy?
I have it in my back
What'd you
pocket at all
say,
times.
Brett?
I keep it handy. Yeah.
I gave him that number, Brett.
Front row Joe Nemechek.
Yeah.
Does he still drive?
I don't think so. No.
Buddy Parsons?
I know Ricky Stenhouse drives.
Lil E?
Jr. That's about the only name I got.
6 million viewers for the
Wow.
Daytona 500 on Monday afternoon on Fox and on Sunday night in prime time on the NBA's channel, TNT, 4 million.
Wow. And those headlines were close to each other? Were they like on the same screen, or did you see those different places? Because I would love for those to be.
They were at different parts.
Oh, okay,
but
good.
This person that compiles all this,
Sure.
and it's accurate.
Sure.
It's kind of he was there at the All-Star Game, covered the most favorable coverage you can dream of. and 18% bump.
I would have loved to like go to a website and see those stories like right next to each other, and it's like 18% jump here and lowest ever, and then you click on them and the lowest ever is more than the 18% jump. That would have been great.
And the least watched in the body of the story did
Sure.
elaborate on this
Right.
was because of the Monday run because of the weather on Sunday at Daytona.
Yeah, no, and that was it was an interesting day. I mean, you
No,
had
but I can
that
remember.
race.
I
Man.
can remember when the NASCAR crowd really thought, it's football, NFL 1, NASCAR 2. We're ahead of baseball.
Oh man, it's fun to watch those the NASCAR, especially Daytona. Always you get the big wreck every time. You had a big one on Monday. Ooh, scary.
4 games
Very
left
tough.
for the Tigers. 2 on the road, 2 at
Yep.
home. What's your 4-game record?
Oh man. Okay, so 2 against FAU and then East Carolina and UAB. I will say 2-2. How about that?
I'm going to say 2-2.
All right.
Because I was at 3-2 when this was bandied about Monday and into Tuesday. I think Monday Dave asked Jason Munns.
Yeah.
Jason gave him a clear, direct answer. He thought 1-4.
Yep.
We asked Dave on Tuesday. Dave said, I knew y'all were going to ask me that. Knew I was going to ask him that. And he said he thought 3-2, right? Or did he say 4-1?
I think he said 3-2.
And no, I think he said 4-1.
Okay. Perfect.
And I said, I don't know that I can go there, but I can go 3-2. I can sure get there 3-2. And
Yeah,
I'm not discounting. I wouldn't discount 4-1, and I wouldn't discount 1-4 with this team.
Right.
I mean, it's that hard to get a handle on. But I think the rest of the way 2-2, and the easy 2 in that you would think would be at East Carolina and home against UAB.
Sure, absolutely. And so, I mean, I think
Anything above that's kind of gravy.
yeah, I'm with you, and I
To
think
get seriously back in at large talk, do they have to go 4-0?
Brett, I think they have to go 4-0 and
Yeah, I do.
make
To
noise.
Sunday? At Dickey's in Fort Worth?
Maybe Saturday, but
Saturday for sure.
I think Saturday for sure, and then you're kind of but I think you still win these 4 games if you get picked off first game at Dickey's, you're done
On Thursday.
I think even Friday I think you're done. I think you would have to get to Saturday
I
or
agree.
Sunday.
And I think it's big. All right, go 4-0. And I've said this through the years. I think it's big to be advancing while in the kind of the big committee room, all the TV set up, and people sauntering by and looking at spreadsheets and looking at quads and looking at who's our guy we like now?
For what?
Not Warren Nolan, but the other guy.
Kim
Torvik.
Oh, Bart Torvik, yeah.
Looking at Bart Torvik, and maybe got Bart Torvik on speed
Maybe.
dial. I don't know.
That'd be great.
And checking in live with Bart Torvik and Jerry Palm and checking in with all of them. Oh, Memphis played and won today on Friday. Oh, look, Memphis is playing again on Saturday. I think that the human nature aspect of it has to come in. Human beings. Hey, here's a master of the obvious comment. They will default to being human beings.
Sure, every time. And so I think, if you can go on a win streak and, you pick up a couple games, I think that's what, people recognize. They recognize long win streaks. And so if you can get 4, 5, they'd be 5 going into the conference.
You watch
6, 7,
you watch a Sports Center hit, and Seth Greenberg naturally and honestly would be saying, look out for Penny Hardaway's teams getting hot at the right time.
Absolutely.
That's in people's heads.
No, you're absolutely right about that.
It's a little bit like these headlines, 18% bump
Sure.
or least watched.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, it's just human nature, and I think if the Tigers can keep winning and build some confidence, I think that's definitely good for them. But they've got a lot of work to do. Well, let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, we'll get back into the Tigers conversation with their win over Charlotte, a 76-52 victory over the 49ers. We'll talk about that game and the next game this weekend against Florida Atlantic. At 3:45, we'll do something fun. Top 10 active college basketball coaches that have not won a title. So those coaches that are still out there, maybe hanging around.
That knocks out Bob Huggins. It knocks out John Chaney. It knocks out Eddie Sutton. Knocks out, Lefty DeSalle.
Yeah.
Right now, coaching today.
Yeah, so that will be a lot of fun.
Knocks out Brad Stevens.
Brad Stevens, yep. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that at 3:45. Top 10 active college coaches that have not won a title in college basketball. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith will join us from Spot Track and the Front Office Show to talk some NBA as we've got games starting today, a lot of action tonight, and then the Grizzlies, they're back tomorrow night, another good slate of games tomorrow night. 4:30, we'll talk some college basketball, a big night of college basketball last night in addition to what the Tigers did. Chaos down in Baton Rouge. Mississippi State gets a win at home over Ole Miss. We'll talk a lot of college basketball at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston, he'll join us to talk Tigers. He was on the ESPN Plus broadcast last night for Tigers and 49ers, so we'll talk a lot about that game last night and this weekend's big game against FAU. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Taco Bell Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the floor model sale. All floor model patio sets are priced to move. Wicker sofa set, under $2,000. Closeout patio cushions, as low as $25. Pool tables, under $1,500. Theater seating, under $2,000. And 4-person hot tubs, now under $5,000. Infrared and traditional steam saunas, 25% off. Get ready for summer and purchase your above-ground pool now to get first in line for installation. And their special financing, it's still available, so get out to Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
He's Brian. I'm Brett. Our producer is Johnny Hill, and we're Sports Time, and we're with you until 6 o'clock. And tomorrow we will be on remote at the Crazy Coop at 7199 Stage Road in Bartlett, and we want you to come by and see us live. This hour of our show brought to you every day by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all the 2024 models and always special leasing options. The one and only Lexus dealership in town, and you can call them at 901-334-9673. Drive in luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story has to be what the Tigers did last night at home. A 76-52 victory over Charlotte. And, it looked like this team had a different energy about them. From, early in the game, it seemed like everybody on the court, everybody on the bench was engaged, locked in. I was keeping my focus, especially early, on Jaquan Walton. He was, started the game on the bench, and I wanted to see what was his energy like. What did he look like on the bench while other guys were starting without him? And he looked locked in. He was energetic, engaged, and then came in, got that technical foul immediately, which I was not a huge fan of. I know Coach Hardaway after the game said he was, he liked it. He liked him showing his emotion and stuff like that. I think Penny Hardaway would have felt a little bit differently if that had just been a technical foul on Walton and not a double tech on both players, which I was surprised they called a double technical on that. But I thought this team played really,
Was something
really
said?
No, I mean, they were just kind of pushing and got in each other's face, but it looked like it was more Walton that kind of initiated it, and so I was a little surprised. And then backed it up. You're right, and so a really good game from this team. I know Coach Hardaway talked a lot after the game about how, this was different. It was more schematic. He had the whole game plan set before the game, and I will say there was more movement. Guys were moving more, active more. They were talking more, but I think this game was won more defensively than it was offensively, and I think that's hard to say when you look at a 76-52 win and finished on a 10-0 run. But this Tigers team, like you said, Brett, it was a really close game at halftime. Charlotte early in the game was really having their way offensively, but in the second half it was much different. 32% shooting for Charlotte in that second half. They were 1 for 12 from 3 in the second half. They could not get anything going. Their starting point guard only played played 3 minutes in the first half because of those fouls, came back in, could not get into any rhythm. Memphis identified one of the guards for Charlotte, just could not shoot the three ball, and if he was wide open for three, he wasn't even going to attempt to take the three. So they left him open, and at some points it felt like they were playing 5-on-4, and so, I thought really good game defensively for the Tigers, and I really thought that's where they won the game. Defensively and on the glass is where they got their advantage last night over Charlotte.
Is there an odder head coach, football, basketball coaching combination than Charlotte's?
No, and I love them both. I mean, I can't get enough of both of them. They're great.
My top story, maybe the best Tigers win of the season last night at FedEx Forum. From the tip to the final horn and all points in between, maybe they found something. I think it's in the scriptures. It's in the book of Memphis Tigers basketball. The son of Rodney Newsom shall lead the way, wearing number 20 like his famed dad used to wear and launch three-pointers. Joe Cooper providing the spark for the Tigers. And for one night, Javon Quinterly was not Quitterly, as he is being called on Twitter. That's right up there with Andre Turnover, calling Javon Quinterly Javon Quitterly. It has to be sustained. And that's been the problem in the 6 years of Coach Hardaway. There have been high points. It's been a kind of EKG. Got to get some consistency. Got to get some staying power. And now, it feels like it's worked out. It's felt like it's been worked out at other pivot points in the Penny Hardaway years until it's not worked out.
Not top story of the day.
My not top story of the day, the NBA is back tonight. A really good slate of games, I think, tonight, with a couple of them being on TNT. We've got Suns and Mavs on TNT at 6:30. That should be a good one. Lakers, Warriors, 9 o'clock on TNT. That should be a fun one, even though LeBron James will not play tonight. Some other really good games. Clippers and Thunder tonight at 7 o'clock should be a heck of a game. But now that we're back from All-Star Week, and even though it's not directly in the middle of the season, the first half and the second half, but this post-All-Star break is really when it's the important time. We're starting to figure out that
downhill slide.
We're figuring out who's going to be these teams that are going to be in the playoffs and who are these teams that can really make a run in the playoffs. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. We talked a lot yesterday about right now the Lakers and the Warriors sitting there at 9-10. They play tonight, so maybe we'll get a preview of those play-in
love fest between those two tonight.
Man, it will be great. But some really good games tonight, and now this is where you really need to lock in, because this is the push. This is where that jockeying is really going to play out before we get to the playoffs.
My not top story, never mind 12 teams, college football looking to go to 14 really fast. Remember, it was 0, then it was 2, then it was 4. We're going to have 12 for 2 years. Looks like we're going to be at 14 starting in 2026. And you know that won't take long before they eventually get to 16 and go beyond that. And the 14, it's going to be all at large. It's going to be at large with at least 4 spots written into the deal, guaranteed for Big Ten and SEC. And they could have more than that. They could have the guarantee 4 they each get. Well, that's 8 out of 14. And they could gobble up 3 or 4 more of the rest of those. And it could be 7, 8 teams between those two. And a lot of times it will be. And by 2026, when both leagues are at 20 teams, and they will be, then you can get ready for them to want to ask for even more teams and maybe a 16-team field, because I feel like it's only a matter of time before Clemson, Florida State, Notre Dame, and the U are in the Big Ten, and in the SEC, North Carolina, Virginia, NC State, Virginia Tech, maybe West Virginia. We can't imagine what 2026 college football is going to look like. Now try to comprehend what 2036 college football will look like.
Brett, I'm still trying to wrap my head over 2024 in college football. I mean, forget 2026.
It's going to be a shock.
It is.
And Brian, just when they go to 14 teams, if you incorporate bowls at every level except for the championship game, where you're going to need those 6 first-round bowls, when 3 plays 14 and 4 plays 13, you're going to need 4 bowls in the elite when we get it down to 8, and then you're going to need 2 when we get it down to the semis. So you're going to need 12 of the existing bowls.
Wow. That's right. That's crazy.
Nashville with the new stadium will get in.
Yeah.
It feels like Los Angeles with Stan Kroenke will get involved. Vegas with where the Super Bowl just was. Houston and the Texas Bowl will get involved with that stadium.
Yeah.
And the Florida sites.
Wow.
Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville.
Absolutely. I mean, just look at the cities that are putting up new domes.
San Antonio, Alamo Bowl.
Ooh, that's a good one. Wow. I mean, it's going to be a weird next couple of years in college football, which is all the changes that are coming. Well, that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to our first break. When we come back, we'll talk more about what happened last night at FedEx Forum between Charlotte and Memphis. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Our mission, to exceed your expectations, provide quality service with urgency, and be there for when you need us most. There is nothing more frustrating than a clogged drain, shower, kitchen, or toilet. They disrupt your life. But don't worry, Choate's is here to get those drains flowing again. With the latest tools, technology, and expert professionals, we're ready to tackle any clog, anytime. We also believe in the power of preventative maintenance, and now is the time to be proactive with Choate's $93 drain inspection. This special offer includes a camera inspection of your sewer with a full assessment of your drainage system. That's a $199 value now for only $93 this month. Give your family the peace of mind they deserve and prevent those unwanted clogs. Call us today at 347-8086 to schedule your $93 drain inspection. And remember, Choate's, let our family serve your family.
What does it feel like to file with TaxSlayer and get your guaranteed maximum refund? It feels like the last level of a video game, facing off against the final boss who stands between you and your refund.
All your refund is belong to me.
Using the power of TaxSlayer like a secret power-up he doesn't see coming.
Only the most tax-confident can defeat me.
Throwing your laptop at his video game face and watching him crumble into a giant pile of shiny coin tax refunds.
Oh, not fair. You use TaxSlayer.
Save up to 80% when you file with TaxSlayer. Start for free.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there. To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com. Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning Running and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value.
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Building. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. MPD on the scene of a couple of minor accidents. Looks pretty good right now up and down sections of Tullahoma. It's moving in the construction zone. At the moment, 55 north and southbound between McLemore South Parkway. It looks so much better over here today where they're not working on 240 east at Walnut Grove up towards Sam Cooper. Again, you can get through there right now with not any problems at all. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. And the Tigers, big winners last night over Charlotte, a 76-52 victory over the 49ers. And now, after those two losses on the road to North Texas and SMU, they get back to their winning ways, and maybe this can start something. Maybe this gets the confidence back for them as we get kind of on this hometown stretch of, big game against FAU at home, and then couple road games, but home against UAB. It's a big stretch coming up for the Tigers.
Yeah, and most of the game last night was without David Jones. Mm-hmm. He injured with only 10 points in 23 minutes of play.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be okay, but this goes to show you win, and a lot of the nattering and a lot of the examination and the myopic examination of everything goes away.
Yeah.
Because really and truly, except for the Jones injury, how different was the lineup last night?
I mean, it wasn't. It wasn't at all, and I was thinking about
after all we heard.
Yeah, I was thinking about that during the game.
But they won. That covers it all up.
Exactly. I think it's a different story if we see the same exact guys and they lose, but they win last night.
I just did it. I held Joe Cooper, the hero. Joe Cooper played 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the very end of the game. Yeah. So I mean, but
he's the symbol of this kind of, I hope, turnaround.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's just a weird time that this Memphis program is at, that we are to that point where it's just gotten so bad that you need some sort of symbol of hope and someone to bring in confidence and
inspire.
Yeah, and I never thought we would get to this point this season, but here we are, I guess.
Maybe Tomlin's best game of the year, and Quinterly 3 of 6 from 3-point land, and very steady, and just nothing to complain about a 22-point win.
No, absolutely not. It's hard to find anything to complain about. You mentioned Naquan Tomlin with a really good game, Javon Quinterly with a good game. I thought Malco was really good down low. I think size was not Charlotte's strength, even though they had some pretty built guys down low. But I thought Malco really looked good, even though finished with 8 and 9. I thought pretty good. I was hoping he would get that 10th rebound, but a really good game from pretty much everybody, all around a good game from the Tigers last night.
Charlotte, not a team you would at all fear facing again in Fort Worth.
I don't know.
You would?
I think I would a little bit. I think I would a little bit. I mean, just because I don't trust this Tiger team. I mean, and
you think Charlotte may have got their bad out of them?
I think so. I think that I haven't watched every game Charlotte's played. I've watched a lot, and I forgot. I think maybe it was I watched Charlotte last week or 2 weeks ago.
I don't fear any of these teams, Brian.
No, I don't think you should.
And I don't want to turn the Tigers win by 22 into a negative segment, but this league And last night, this league on display. What in the world was that at Bartow Arena?
Yeah, no, I didn't get to see the game because obviously I was at the Tigers game. But no, I mean it's
Andy Kennedy's having retina replacement today from having to watch that game.
Yeah, no, it's it's been a weird year in the American. It's teams that I think a lot of people expected weren't going to be good are now in first place, and Rice, who we saw the
South
Tigers
Florida
struggle against
scuffle
Rice.
with Texas San Antonio.
It's just
and I'm going to look at this
league.
crowd. I have not looked at the box score. I'm going to go whatever they say. If they say it was 99,000 there, I'm going with it. Crowd last night in San Antonio, 1,580.
Well, it sounds about right.
It's a little off 99,000.
A little bit. No, it's
1,580 in attendance at Texas San Antonio game.
Yeah, no, it's
at the UTSA Convocation Center. Who knew?
They do not pack a lot of people in to their small gym. That is not what they do now.
Did you see at Empty Seats Galore the picture of pregame of Incarnate Word and the team they fought with, Texas A&M Commerce?
I did not. I mean, I was watching most of the game. There were not a lot of people there, but I did not get to see a crowd shot, no.
During the anthem, and somebody took the picture, never knowing that what was going to transpire happened, we badly overestimated when I said 10 people there and one got hurt. I mean, maybe 7.
Yeah, no, Incarnate Word not drawing a big crowd.
No,
but hey, I mean,
tickets available.
I mean,
Incarnate
it seems
Word.
like or loss, I guess.
You could pitch a tent at midcourt.
Yeah, I mean, I say they're lost. The people that live there didn't go because you missed a massive melee like that.
They did miss a Donnybrook.
And we got the suspensions yesterday. It's a lot of guys gonna be missing time for those two teams.
Today in the net in the AAC, FAU is at 34. That's going to slide down just with who they're playing, and even playing Memphis twice will cause some slippage of their net. SMU at 38. Tonight it won't be any because it probably stays square with them facing each other tonight. North Texas 78, Memphis 82, USF 93, Charlotte 100, UAB 122, Tulane 134, Wichita State 156, ECU 164, Tulsa 202, Rice, after winning last night, 213, Temple 243, and Texas San Antonio at 286. And at 286, that means only 86 are behind you.
Well, hey, at least it's not 85 behind you, right? I guess.
And our good buddies at Louisville, you know what they are?
Brett, they were favored last night at home against Notre Dame. They were favored. I bet against them. I mean, anytime Louisville is a favorite, I'm going to have to bet against them.
You took your Daytona winnings and put it on that.
Well, I did not have any Daytona winnings. So we made up for our Daytona losings with a win last night at Notre Dame. No, Louisville is, I mean, it's miserable up there.
211.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, real 211. U of L. Isn't that funny? Who's Mr. Wright for Louisville?
I have no idea. I really don't. I could give you Mr. Wright at several places, but I could not. I can't tell you at Louisville. I have no idea.
I'm with you. We've kind of gone through a couple Mr. Wrights for Louisville, haven't we?
It feels like. I mean, heck, Kenny Payne was the slam dunk hire when he was hired, and I still think that because a lot of people said he should have been fired in his first season, and I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, let's see what he can do recruiting, what kind of talent he can bring in, and now just miserably bad. So I don't know who Mr. Wright is, but we're about to see. I mean, the off season's not far away, and we'll see where a lot of these openings get filled. But let's go ahead and get to another break. When we come back, a little fun activity. We're going to do the top 10 active college basketball coaches that have not won a title. We'll get to that next on Sportstime.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Looking for your next car? Give Car Corner a try. Car Corner, located at 2653 Mount Moriah. They specialize in cars under $15,000. Bad credit? No problem at Car Corner. CarCornerMemphis.com. That's CarCornerMemphis.com. They even have cash cars under $7,000. That's Car Corner at 2653 Mount Moriah. CarCornerMemphis.com. Look for the building with the teal green roof.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee, Forte RE 722-812, MSRP 21,590, Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010, Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We've talked a lot about the Tigers and their win over Charlotte last night. Really good win. Nothing to complain about. Not much to say about it. I mean, that's what we want to see from this Tiger team going forward.
And I gave Texas San Antonio too much credit. They're at 286. 76 from the bottom, not 86.
Well, I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be at the bottom.
Yeah, they do. They do.
All right, the best coach to never win a major, kind of the golf lingo. Yep. The current best coach in college basketball, but he hadn't won a title. Mm-hmm. We're not going back to yesteryear. We're not going to retired or coaches that are no longer with us. A lot of great coaches out there. I think this is the Eddie Sutton list, in my opinion. He was just such a great coach to have never won. Bob Huggins sure would be up there from yesteryear.
Absolutely.
But we're going with guys that are trying to get in this bracket this year.
Okay, I like it. I want you to go first. I want to hear where you went with this.
All right, 10. You want to start at 10 or at 1?
Whatever you want to do.
All right, at 10, and it may be his last days of coaching, Leonard Hamilton. 9, Shaka Smart, we were just talking about. 8, this year notwithstanding, Eric Musselman. 7, Matt Painter.
Okay.
6, Mick Cronin. 5, Chris Beard. 4, Rick Barnes. 3, Mark Few. 2, Kelvin Sampson. And number 1 is easy for me, Bruce Pearl.
Okay.
So I omit Oates, Larinaga, McDermott, Dixon, Buzz Williams.
All right. I like that. Okay, we have some similarities on ours, but I'm going to go from 10 up to 1. I've got McDermott at 10. I've got Sean Miller at 9. Leonard Hamilton at 8. Jamie Dixon at 7. Mick Cronin at 6.
We had the same thing at 6.
Shaka Smart at 5. I have Bruce Pearl at 4. Rick Barnes at 3. Mark Few at 2. And Kelvin Sampson at number 1.
Too soon for Beard?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, right outside the list, I'd say.
Been to a final game, been to a final 2, and had it rolling at Texas before off the court difficulty. So Kelvin Sampson, you're 1. I had him 2.
Yeah.
I'd be so fine with him winning, and one of the biggest bogus things ever of him getting fired over text message, over texting recruits. It wasn't even anything untoward. It was just outside a time period that you could make contact.
Yeah, no, and I think, what he's been able to do at Houston and to be able to continue just having dominant teams, elite teams. I mentioned the other day that Houston has been number 1 this year in KenPom, like the entire season. Like even with Purdue doing what they've done, with UConn doing what they've done, Houston's remained number 1, and that is a big part because of the culture that Kelvin Sampson has built there.
I had Mark Few 3, you had him 2.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of debate. You think he could have done all that he's done at another job? Or did he kind of catch a wheelhouse, good place, good time, good man for it?
No, I think he could have done it at a lot of different places. I think, certainly benefited from,
but
getting
he didn't.
the Gonzaga job. Right.
It's just one place, but
Right. And
good.
Yeah, I just think what he has done and the guys he's brought in and being able to kind of build that culture there and get so far. And I mean, it seems like we can talk about all the times he's gotten to Final Four, final game, Elite Eight, and just hasn't been able to punch that ticket. I think certainly right up there. And I could make the argument with myself between him and Kelvin Sampson and I think Rick Barnes of my number 1.
And the opposite of Mark Few is Rick Barnes.
Yeah.
He's won everywhere. Including
absolutely.
George Mason, Providence, Clemson, Texas, and Tennessee. But he hadn't won enough. He won Final Four at Texas, and with had Kevin Durant for a year.
Sure, yeah, and I think what
and didn't do much with him.
Right, and I think what he just does, schematically, and who he is as a coach. I mean, I certainly had to have him in my top 3. Could make an argument of him getting higher, but like you said, just all the success he's had and just how strong of a coach he is. But just still has never been able to go super far in the tournament, and certainly not been able to win one.
You had Shaka Smart at 5. I had him at 9, so we both have him in the mix. We obviously we both think he's a really good coach, and really the kind of the new life after Texas.
Yeah.
Doing at Marquette what they wanted him to do at Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it seemed like got out at the right time, and still kind of had that cachet and success to get a job like Marquette, but things were getting awfully hot at Texas, and a lot of people kind of thought that was coming to an end. And I think probably for both sides at the time was probably the smart move for him to go to Marquette, and now what he's doing at Marquette has really done a great job with that program. And then Texas, they go out, hire Chris Beard. Chris Beard does a really good job and would probably still be there without all of the off-court stuff and certainly be rolling. So I think for both sides that was the right move, but certainly Shaka, a unbelievable basketball coach.
That Rick Barnes won Final Four at Texas. That's the only one for Texas in anything resembling the modern era, and it is, for one way or the other, it has gotten some good coaches.
Yeah.
Can you believe a coach left Ole Miss to go be coach at Texas at one time?
Yeah, I mean
Bob Weltlich did.
Yeah, crazy.
And really never heard from him again. He had a decent team or two. Where at UCF maybe he got in the tournament somewhere, but nothing real good. Tom Penders didn't work out at Texas. They finally had to move on from Rick Barnes. I don't think the guy now is going to do anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. But
we both had Nate Oates off the list. Just too soon?
Yeah, I think so. I think Nate Oates was certainly one that I had in mind. Kind of right outside looking in, but I just too many good coaches in front of him, I think.
Yeah, and That's a lot of really good coaches. I mean, you have any of these guys coaching your program you'd be proud of.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think there's more that could go on there. There were a couple of kind of coaches that just haven't been there long enough that I thought about, but I think some really good coaches that could have been on this list.
I said, I think we'll all be fine if Kelvin Sampson won it.
Sure.
Around here, you think this market can bear Bruce Pearl with nets around his neck?
That's a really good question.
I know they can't Rick Barnes.
But Bruce Pearl, that's a really good question. I think there would still be a lot of people that hold resentment against him and would
He's a
not
fun-loving guy.
He is.
He's one of the few showmen left in college basketball, and we used to have a bunch.
Yeah. No, but I love Bruce Pearl, and I told you I kind of forgave him when I saw him in Tiger gear, but I like him. I think he's a great coach, and I think we've both talked about what we think of him as a head coach. But I think there would be a lot of people that would not be big on him winning a national championship.
Last weekend, with the news of the passing of Lefty Driesell, I mean, he was the consummate showman. Bobby Crimmins was showman. Coach Dana Kirk was here. Raleigh Massimino, Jimmy Valvano, Digger Phelps. I mean, we used to have a lot of real colorful showmen, and Pearl's he's one of the few left now.
Sure, absolutely, and like you said,
boy, everybody's so serious. That's why I didn't mind Musselman, jumping naked last year when he stripped his shirt off.
Hey, something that and obviously ESPN and CBS Sports and Fox Sports, they eat that stuff up. They love showmen and coaches that are going to be out there, and certainly Musselman has shown that. Can't really show it much.
Well, in the day,
year.
we didn't need Raleigh Massimino shirtless. No. That'd be a little like the baseball trousers. That's just too much there.
Just a little too much. Oh, Brad, I've seen more pictures of the baseball trousers.
No, it's bad.
And I saw one today. We talked about it yesterday, and I the few pictures I had seen wasn't much, but I saw a picture today. Somebody was wearing black sliding shorts under it, and you could see everything in the sliding shorts. I mean, you can see a lot. So.
I don't need to see it all.
No, I do not. I don't need to see more than I see with regular pants.
That's it.
I don't need to see anything more. And so, but no, I thought really good list for both of us. Really fun exercise. And who's next? Who's next out of that? I think we both said that we'd both be happy with Kelvin Sampson, and I think out of those names would probably be the most likely coach.
Mark Few finally, but he's not winning this year. He's missed his shot.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun to see. I'm going to keep this list handy and see if I can cross off any of these names in the next couple of years. But we need to go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking NBA with Keith Smith.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague-certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year, no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value.
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Call me. 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Progressive presents advice on new teen drivers.
The hardest part about teaching your teen to drive is the chafing from the seatbelt. But the best part is the grip strength you build in your knuckles. Okay, now let's pull out of the driveway.
Here's another tip. Offset a chunk of the cost of adding a teen to your insurance with Progressive's Teen Driver Discount and get a break from the brake. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states or situations.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe in 2024. We can't wait to serve you.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide and services to showcase your invention. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380.
Hi, folks, the Chevy Sheriff with good news for car and truck buyers. The Sunrise Chevy Ranch has acres of new Chevys and GM certified in stock, ready for immediate delivery. A $6 million used car inventory and cars and trucks for every budget, and a lot specializing in cars and trucks under $99.95. If you've been turned down by another dealer, see us at Sunrise. We specialize in financing, and SunriseMemphis.com is home of guaranteed credit approval. Cars and trucks may not be free, but at least they're affordable at Sunrise. Together, let's drive to the Sunrise Chevy Ranch, 385 in Houston, Levy, and Collierville.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Despite a couple of EMS calls out here in the last 15-20 minutes, looks good. Sam Cooper going outbound. It's so much better today over here on 240 East up by Sam Cooper passing Walnut Grove. Last couple of days, if you remember, they were working and it already had traffic backed up. But again, looks good over here right now on 240 East up by Poplar towards Walnut Grove. Weiber's Jewelry, they're located at 7525 Highway 64. They are your full-service family-owned jewelry store right here in the Memphis area. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith Smith joins us every Thursday to talk the NBA from Spot Track and the Front Office Show. He joins us now after All-Star Weekend. Teams back in action tonight. Keith, thanks so much for joining us. And I want to start off with what happened during All-Star Weekend. What was your biggest takeaway from the weekend? I know a lot of people are talking about the game itself, but what were your takeaways from All-Star Weekend this year?
Yeah, no different than usual. I don't really have any. Nobody got hurt. So
yeah.
That's about all I really care about with the All-Star Weekend. Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry shootout was amazing.
Yeah, it was fun.
It, for my money, was the best part of the entire weekend. I thought, that was really great. I can't wait to see what they come up with for next year. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And hopefully it becomes like a yearly type event. The rest of it, the three-point contest is good. The dunk contest was blah, because every few years it's, not so good. And then, maybe it'll come back around. And then the game itself was, I don't know, I don't have a lot of energy for getting worked up over a game that, quite frankly, guys haven't played hard in for most of it for close to 30 years now. Yeah, so I know a lot of people feel like back in my day, they were out there, clothesline fouls and things like that. And none of that's true. It was never like that.
No, I can't. The only thing I can ever remember, and I can't remember who drew blood, either Dwayne Wade on Kobe or Kobe on Dwayne Wade. I never remember an injury. So what would be one thing you would do to incentivize it, or would you even waste your effort to incentivize it?
Yeah, I more lean too. I wouldn't even waste the time and effort. I just don't know that you're going to get these guys to care. I mean, people say, pay them $1 million. And for some of the guys, they're like, nah, it's not worth it. Yeah. Which is, good for them that they're in that place. But I think, for the most part, I think, some of these guys are going to be in a spot where it's a meaningless exhibition game. And, And people will say, but guys play harder meaningless pickup runs over the summertime. But if you roll an ankle in August,
right,
you end up in a spot where you are out for 2 weeks and you don't miss any real time. If you roll an ankle here, you're out for a while. And I will say, for everybody who says, there's never been an injury, maybe in part that's because the guys don't go hard. Maybe that's why there hasn't been an injury. But I'll also push back and say that 2020 game that everybody talks about being kind of a high water mark and how much everybody loved that game. Well, Nick Nurse pushed Kemba Walker to play over 30 minutes in that game on a balky knee, and his career was never the same. His career was basically over after that point. So that's a whole other thing that we got to factor that in a little bit of, like, we just don't want these guys out there getting hurt in a game that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the dunk contest. I'm curious. I've heard a lot of people talking about, how do you get the best NBA dunkers in? And, people are tired of seeing Mac McClung in the game and that just it's not entertaining anymore. And a lot of people here are wondering, how can you get Ja Morant? A guy like Ja Morant obviously couldn't participate this year because of the injury, but how do you incentivize him? How do you try to get him to get involved in it with the dunk contest? Is there a way to get some of the more named dunkers in the NBA into the dunk contest?
I don't think there is. I just think guys are looking at it and saying there's no upside there. You look at Jaylen Brown did it, and Jaylen Brown I think has had a good approach since that night, and in the couple of interviews he's done since then as the teams are getting back to work, where he's like, hey, I went out there, I tried some stuff, I had fun, I got my message across with a couple of the dunks I wanted to do, and we just kind of did our thing, and I think that's great, and a lot of other guys, they're going to look at it and say, it's not worth it, because if I mess up a dunk or whatever, I'm just going to get clowned for days on social media, so what's the point? So I really don't know. I don't know that there is a way to get guys interested in doing it, because I think most guys are going to look at it and say, well, why would I even bother? Like, it's just not, there's just no upside to doing it.
Keith, 30 NBA teams, 28 markets, with New York and Los Angeles having two teams in those markets. So 28 markets. Since Memphis has had a team, it's been in 16 of the 28 markets, and it's also been in Las Vegas. We're never getting the All-Star game because convention center, hotel space, things like that. Where would you like to see it go that they haven't tried yet? Even if they had to maybe lesser those expectations on convention center size and hotel rooms. Oklahoma City?
Yeah, I mean, I have, I get the whole, their apparent rules of you have to have, I think, so many hotel rooms, so many 5-star hotels and the convention space and all that stuff. But yeah, if you could lessen that, I'd like to see them just rotate it through the different venues. Like you said, there's 28 of them. There's going to be 30 soon, because we're going to, it's the worst kept secret in the league that there's expansion is coming, and it'll be at least 2 teams. So when that happens, just for my money, just rotate it through. Give everybody a chance to host it and see what it looks like. Now that's something I don't generally attend All-Star Weekend, especially now that it's moved after the trade deadline. There's just not a lot of value in it for me to go. So but I know for a lot of my media brethren and for a lot of players, they would tell you nowhere where it's under 50 degrees. Please, let's have it somewhere nice and warm every year. So I guess if you want to factor that part in, but yeah, if we're taking out the qualifiers, let's just rotate it through the league and give everybody a chance.
Last thing for me on All-Star Weekend, I'm curious, what was your thoughts on the court in Indianapolis? I was not a fan of it. A little too much going on. Is that something you think we see more of in the NBA with this kind of interactive court?
I was fine for All-Star Weekend. Like I think that part was okay.
Yeah.
I think there's elements of it you could make work. Like we've seen some of the broadcasts do, like the superimposed shot clock, or they do the superimposed shot distance. I think maybe you could find a way to make that workable on the floor in a way where it is visible in the arena too. But yeah, for the most part, it did not like during the 3-point contest, and it was that what was it? Starry, I think was the drink.
Starry. That's right.
I'm showing my age and out of touchness here, but it was I didn't like that green hue
real bright
that it put on everything. That was weird. But yeah, I don't have a huge issue with it. I don't want to see it for 1,200 regular season games and a couple hundred playoff games. That's for sure.
Next year, All-Star Game will be at the Chase Center in downtown San Francisco with some events in Oakland, and then in 2026 it'll be at the new arena for the Clippers, Intuit Dome, which will be very close to where Stan Kroenke's football stadium is.
Yeah. And that's part of the deal with a new arena. A lot of times, places get a new arena, and then pretty soon after that, the All-Star Game kind of comes along with it. And I know the Intuit Dome's got some cool stuff. Their whole, I think they're calling it the Wall or whatever it is, where it's Clippers fan section only, which is a neat idea. And I think we'll see how it comes off in practice. I think that'll be a lot of fun to see that come together. And they're talking about. Boston is talking about making a run at it for 2029. They want to host it. They've made it clear that they really want to get involved, and it's been a long time since Boston. Now, as somebody who grew up in Boston and lived there for most of my life till I moved, it was it's a place though that's not always. They don't always love a bunch of outsiders coming in, like the running joke when they were going for the Olympics a few years back.
Yeah.
It was like, who wants this? Like, nobody wants this in town. I'm curious to see how that goes down, but I think, a weekend is a little bit different than the, essentially a month and a half or so that the Olympics ends up taking over.
Talking to Keith Smith from Spa Trek and the Front Office Show. I'm curious, I just saw the headline that the NBA has suspended Isaiah Stewart for 3 games after punching Drew Eubanks. We talked about that last week, but the NBA had not made a ruling. They've now made a ruling. Do you think 3 games is about right for what happened?
Yeah, I think so. It's so hard now with this stuff because this was it's so weird. It feels like if you, in a game, throw a punch at an opponent, you're at least getting a game or two, suspension. And it's almost like it's become like an accepted part of like competition, right? So sometimes guys get so heated that they're going to exchange hands like that. And then there is a position where it is, this happened off the court, and apparently the league had all the video they could get and reviewed it and saw what they saw. And Isaiah Stewart's got a little bit of a pass now. He had the incident where he, really went after LeBron James and was trying to, get after him after he caught an elbow from LeBron. He's had a couple other things that have come up, more minor in-game kind of stuff, but there's been some other stuff. So I think, now this is the league saying, hey, knock it off. And I think the NBA, you're going to see this kind of progressive punishment out of them more than just, one game kind of stuff, because I think they're trying to send a message to some of these guys, like, hey, there's no place for this. Like, and we don't want this being a story about our league, our players, and our team.
I'm with you on that, absolutely. I'm curious now as well. We talked last week about the Brooklyn Nets. I asked you kind of what you thought their direction would be going forward, and now we kind of know that they're going to go in a very different direction because they have fired Jacques Vaughn, their head coach. Kevin Ollie is going to step in as interim going forward. Were you surprised of that move, or did you think that's kind of where we were going post-trade deadline?
Yeah, I think when you get to a point, and I probably said this last week, where it's very clear the team had kind of quit and they were done. There's either one or two conversations you have. It's either, all right, it was a few days before the break and then the day before the break. Is that why they quit? Or did they quit because they're done? Like they are done with this coach. And if it's the second, then you got to make the change because we're past the trade deadline. You can't make wholesale roster changes anymore. That's done. That's over with. So now it becomes, all right, hey, let's try to salvage what we can of this season. Kevin Ollie's a guy who is very, very highly thought of. There are a lot of people who said, even if we go back to when he was a player, repeatedly, there were a lot of people like, this guy's going to be a good coach someday. And he's going to be an NBA head coach. And then he went and had a lot of success at the college level, had some, teaching success with the guys at Overtime Elite and the like. So I think he's going to come in, and they're probably going to say, hey, let's get some of these kids developed a little bit here. Let's get them coached up. Let's see what it looks like, and let's try to salvage what we can, and let's become a really lost season.
Does Brooklyn want to get the 10th spot? Do they want to wrest that control from Atlanta?
Yeah, it's funny. We're going to find out here probably within the next week or so. Well, what do they look like coming back out of the break? Are they coming out? They get the new coach bounce, which is that is a real thing that generally does tend to happen. So if they're really getting after it and playing well, we'll see. Now there is the person I heard call this out, and he really did well with it. Was Tim Bontemps of ESPN called out. They were 15-15 when they played that back-to-back against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they sat everybody for Mikal Bridges, and they only played him until like the first time out, and then took him out of the game, and that was mostly to keep his games played streak going. And then nobody else of consequence played. Since that moment, they're something like 5-18 or something like that, and have just completely fallen off the cliff. And sometimes, what happens with these teams is you send a message of, hey, it doesn't really matter if we win or lose, and the players don't realize, like, that's not a one-game thing. Like, we meant, like, for one game, but then they take it as it doesn't really matter. And, I think you have an Epstein that is kind of discouraged with some of the moves they made and things like that, and guys have just lost faith. So now it's up to Kevin Ollie and Sean Marks to try to get that back. And for Sean Marks, he's going to show, hey, there's still a good roster here that I put together. Otherwise, when it comes time to make this summer's roster decision, not be the one making.
There's been a lot of conversations here locally, Keith, when it comes to the Grizzlies about what they should do. They've got a couple of guys that could be returning from injury soon. Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, and Brandon Clark kind of being those big three guys that could be available to return in this kind of last stretch of the season. There's been kind of some arguments here locally of what should the Grizzlies do. Should they let those guys come back and play and play, a handful of games this season, or should they rest those guys, kind of sit them, keep them out with those injuries, and then just regroup next season when you have your whole roster healthy? Where do you sit on that idea of playing guys or keeping them out on kind of a throwaway season that the Grizzlies are in?
Yeah, I think it's player dependent. It really is. I like Brandon Clark, who now hasn't played in a year. If he's ready to go, and he's 100% ready to go and cleared, there's no harm in putting him out there, because for me is put him out there, let him regain the confidence in his leg, and that he's feeling good and he feels good, and then he can hit the off season with a good full off season with 10, 15 games, whatever it is, under his belt the rest of the way this season, and he feels pretty good about it. If we remember back to after Paul George broke his leg, the Pacers brought him back late in the season. I want to say he played like 6 games or something down the stretch, and that's what it was. It was, hey, let's get him feeling good about himself. Let's get him feeling, that he's confident in the leg, and then that way next season is just the start of next season. It's not hey, we got to start and have 50 million injury conversations and everything else. I think a guy like Marcus Smart, that seems like an injury that should heal up and he should be ready to go. Same thing with Desmond Bane. But if your medical team's like, yeah, they're 90%, nope. If it's a week later, they're 95%. Nope. It's got to be they're 100%, and we're ready to go. Because otherwise, there's just no real reason at this point. You're no longer chasing wins for any valid reason. So I would just, if they're 100%, yeah, sure, put them out there and see what it looks like. But I certainly wouldn't be pushing them either. It'd be, all right, you're going to play, but you're going to play 15, 20 minutes, and we're going to see what it looks like.
Keith, who's that back of the pack team, kind of the Laker model from last year that many of us had written off the Lakers? They come back, they get all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Who's that team this year, and could the Lakers be this year's Lakers?
Yeah, the Lakers could be this year's Lakers. I think the Warriors could be that team too. The Warriors are
the winner of that game could be.
Yeah, that's a pretty big game.
We talked about it yesterday. That I don't know if it's Adam Silver's dream come true or nightmare game.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because I think if you play those two in the play-in, you're going to have one heck of a great night, but then the other team's gone, potentially, and it's like, oh man, now they're completely gone. But yeah, that's a tough spot. But yeah, I mean, it could be either one of those teams. They're not quite down in that territory fully, but Miami could be that team again, right? Miami we know kind of the Heat when we get to the playoffs. They're just going to be a different team. Yeah, that part I I feel like that's a bunch of propaganda, and that whole paragraph they have in the pain is just nonsense
crazy
to me. That if anything, I think that's embarrassing. But all the Heat are going to be there. If they're in the playoffs, you're going to have to beat them. And I'm very fond of saying with Miami, you got to go out, you got to beat them, you got to cut the head off, you got to separate the head from the body, and then both of them separately and throw the ashes in two different holes, and then maybe they're done. Because they're like the horror movie villain that it's like, I thought we finished these guys off, and here they still are. So, yeah, those are the teams I'd be looking at. The other teams I think are more in a spot where it's, maybe we'll see. If Phoenix or Dallas is down in the play-in, you could see a world, right, where all their offensive talent on both of those teams, that they make a real run out of it. But it's going to be tough, especially in the West. These teams are fighting. Minnesota, Oklahoma City, the Clippers, the Nuggets, to be the one seed, and you're fighting to then look across the court. You might be like, man, I got LeBron and AD for 7 games. I got Steph Curry for 7 games. I got Luka. I got KD, Booker, and Beal. Like, it's just you're not going to get through it very easy.
Looking at the slate tonight, the one game that really jumps out to me that I'm so excited to watch tonight is two teams that you just mentioned, the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Los Angeles Clippers, only separated by half a game in the Western Conference standings. When you look at these two teams, obviously the Thunder, a young, fun team that has kind of come out of nowhere to the top of the West, and the LA Clippers, a team that is has a lot of veterans, a lot of these star players on their team. How do you see this last stretch going for both these squads?
Yeah, I think for the Thunder, the big question right now is let's get Gordon Hayward integrated, and let's see what it looks like with him, because I think that could make a major difference in how the rest of their season goes. We've seen when they've had troubles against teams, it's generally because what teams do is they stick their 5 on Josh Giddey and say, hey, just float around the paint and be a helper, be a weak side rim protector, be a guy who is a designated trapper, helper, recover guy. And if we lose because Josh Giddey makes 6 or 7 3-pointers, we tip our cap and move on. Now, when you get into a playoff series and that's happening, you just want Gordon Hayward in that spot. You can't help off him like that. So, of course, I legally have to caveat it with if he's healthy, right? So that's the big. And then for the Clippers, it's if he's healthy with about 7 different guys. It's they're playing really, really good basketball, but it's just about getting there, getting to that finish line, in a good spot. I think for both of them, there's going to be a somewhat concerted effort to finish ahead of Denver. Denver's just a tough place to go play in the playoffs. I think it's a little different from the regular season when you're in there. Generally, just the way the playoff series work with the days in between games, you're going to be somewhere between 4, 5, 6 days in total. So the altitude doesn't hit you the same as it does where maybe you flew in from LA the night before, and then you're playing at altitude the next night. Like that hits you a little harder, so you get a little better adjusted to it. But they're just a tough team. They've always been a tough team at home, and now they kind of know with the Nuggets what it takes as the champ. So I think for the Clippers and Thunder, they want to be ahead of those guys, but they're not going to push to be ahead of the Nuggets or even the T-Wolves or any of those teams at the expense of health. It's going to be, if you're feeling something, sit it out, because the most important thing is we get to mid-April and you're ready to go.
Keith, the whole question about the transfer of power from LeBron James to the next anointed one, the face of the league, the star of the league. In a odd way, this could be a bigger, tougher place to shoes to fill for LeBron James than even what was coming out of Michael Jordan. Do you think this is tougher, the toughest spot the league's been in for the next anointed one?
That's a really good question. I think by the time MJ was wrapping up, we still had Shaq still playing really at a high level. Mm-hmm. And then we had Kobe kind of coming right in on his heels. And then obviously LeBron was right there. And, a few years in his career was like, all right, LeBron's the guy. So,
and to a degree, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, it's hard with Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was an incredible player.
But he didn't want to be the face.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't want to be the face of the league. That's the thing with, like, right now, like, Nikola Jokic could be a guy we could all say, he could be the next face of the NBA. He doesn't want that. He wants to finish his season. He wants to go home, and do his stuff with his horses. right?
He wants to be the most obscure 7-footer on planet Earth.
Yeah, he's very much like Tim Duncan in that way. Like, he has no real interest in being that guy. There's even a question of how much a guy like Luka Doncic want that. Like the running joke at All-Star that I heard from a bunch of people was Luka made that tweet at halftime from his phone about analytics, and that was only after he called and said, "Hey, are the engines running on my jet to get me out of here as soon as this game ends?" Like, he just doesn't want that. So that's the big part, is who wants it, right? Who wants to step forward? And there's guys that, Jason Tatum's been somebody that's talked about. I think he'll get a push because he's also an American. So that, in some sense, some people are going to attach to a little bit more. Giannis could be, but Giannis is getting a little older. I don't think, any of the younger guys are quite there yet, like Wembanyama, or even Zion or Job. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the good news is there's a lot of choices of who it could be. And it may just be a thing where it's somebody for a couple years and somebody else for a couple years, and we just kind of keep going on down the line. And I think there's people who would like it to be in, let's say, within 5 years, they'd like it to be Cooper Flagg, who's finishing up his high school career right now. And I think there's a lot of people who are hoping he steps into that kind of mold and can be that guy. But having seen him a lot, I don't get the sense he's going to want to be that kind. I think he just says, I just want to play. But he's also 17 years old, and we don't really know right now.
Right. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun these next couple of days getting NBA back in action. Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and enjoy these games.
I'm so excited. I'm done with all the all-star discussion. The yelling about the way the game is covered and media versus coaches and all that other stuff. Just let's get games back. I'm so excited they're all back in flow tonight.
And Keith, we apologize. I think we exceeded the 5-question limit on All-Star today, so we apologize for that.
It's all good. We hadn't talked, so I was ready for it. I knew we were going to catch up on it, but yeah, I'm excited. Next time we talk, we'll be talking about teams that are gearing up to make a run at the postseason. That'll be a lot of fun.
That's right. Thanks, Keith.
Thank you.
Keith Smith, he's with us every week, and we did kind of pepper him with a lot of All-Star questions.
I mean, like you said, we haven't talked to him since.
That's right.
I mean, you got to get those in.
So we're never having an All-Star game in Memphis. I wish it was the case. There wasn't many things that way back when, Bryant, the Pursuit team, they did a great job. We wouldn't have gotten the team without them pursuing them. That's the Pursuit team. Right. It was well done. But even then, when they were selling, there were two things they sold. I go, no. Now, you don't have to do that. We want a team. We want it badly. We want FedEx. We want the arena downtown, built on budget, built on time, creating all the jobs for people. Yep. But they sold All-Star Game and Final Four, and I said, no. Final Four had by then even had gone out of arenas per se.
Right.
I'm trying to think of the last time the Final Four was that something you would call an arena. I'm going to say 96 in the Meadowlands at the arena the Nets played in. Wow. I know in 94 in Charlotte when Arkansas won it in the Hornets' first arena there.
Really? And yeah, I mean, I know for a fact that I've never seen one that's been played in a traditional arena.
And that was only two things that they kind of added a little cherry on top. And I'm going, no, you don't have to do that. No. We're all for this. Yeah. Let's shoot people straight. And that's just Oklahoma City's probably never getting one.
Right. No, probably not. But hey, I mean, like you said, I mean, just get that NBA organization there, and who really cares about getting an All-Star game?
Now, our arena blows away New Orleans, but they got all that convention space and all those hotels.
Exactly. So I mean, it's different, but I mean, it's not something. I know a lot of people talk about it, and a lot of people want it, but it's really never been something for me that I'm like, oh man, I really hope All-Star Weekend comes here. I really hope.
I want a game on Christmas more than anything.
Oh, absolutely, and that's
attainable.
Absolutely,
we can do that.
Yeah,
that's what I want. Tomorrow afternoon at 5, we will visit with Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal on all things Tigers. It's presented every Friday to you by Jim's Place Grill. Jim's Place Grill, over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of celebrations, family time, and lasting great memories. The Terrace family, with their touch for our community, recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown, to now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Go online to jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the Ian Grill. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see and feel the difference. Lunch hours, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours, Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Last Friday night, I went back again. Is Virginia calling the Friday night game on TV for me at Jim's Place Grill?
I think so.
I've caught them the last two Friday nights since 1921. A Memphis landmark with hard work, values, and a dedication to their diners. The Terrace family, they've created a memorable dining experience. The lunch menu, the staples like the souffle ma, the shrimp cocktail, the salad dressings, all homemade, the crab cakes, and at dinner time, the calamari, soup, seafood, and the steaks, ribeyes, strips, and fillets. Great bar area to enjoy the games and watching and have all the fun, whether it's Grizzlies or Tigers or NCAA tournament coming up. Great bar area, Jim's Place Grill in Collierville.
Well, let's go ahead and get to a break. We've talked a lot about the Tigers and their win last night over Charlotte, but it was a very eventful night in college basketball. So on the other side, we'll talk about everything that happened last night in the world of college basketball.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of cashew crunch, of heavenly hash, of turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double-dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
For the latest from the world of golf, tune in every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 for the Golf Shop Radio Show, presented by PlayGolfMyrtleBeach.com, the golf capital of the world. Hosts Mark Greenhelge and Matt Blanchard talk golf from tee to green and everything in between. If you like golf, you're going to love Golf Shop Radio. Before you tee up, drop on in. Welcome to the Golf Shop, here on Sports 56. Real sports talk.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It looks so much better over here today than it did yesterday or in the day before on 240 East coming past Walnut Grove, working your way up towards Sam Cooper. They are not working today over here, and it's so nice to see traffic back to normal or whatever normal is over here on this side of town on 240 as you get on to 385 Billmore Parkway. That has started to pick up just in the last few minutes back out towards Collierville. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64. They want you to know they are your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Well, it was a busy night in the college basketball world last night. In addition to what the Tigers did at home, some really, really fun games. I wasn't able to catch all of them or really much of the early games because I was at FedEx Forum, but I did get home in time to see the last couple of minutes of LSU Kentucky. I was home to see the last couple of minutes of Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Some really good games in the SEC last night.
It was, and no surprise that State won last night. They were clearly the better team, much more physical, and put it on Ole Miss in control. Ole Miss got ahead late in the game, but it felt fragile. Packed house at Humphrey Coliseum, knew it would be, and I think what Jans and Beard, the two Chris's, are doing is great for basketball in the state of Mississippi right now. Mississippi State with a 36 net, they're in. They just got to take care of a little business the rest of the way. They don't have to have any deep run in Nashville. Probably don't need that first game exit, but I don't think that would matter. That could maybe, that first game exit could maybe land them in Dayton. Ole Miss is they're going to have to thread the needle, and it could be a case at the end of the year if Ole Miss got in the tournament of a good example of they just beat everybody they were kind of supposed to.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't any great win, but wasn't any bad losses.
Right, yeah, and that's what, there's a handful of teams like that out there that, are kind of on the bubble and, trying to stay in or trying to get in.
That's why they call it the bubble.
Exactly right. I'm seeing Jerry Palm's most recent bracket, and I love that you told me yesterday that he's now updating it daily.
Oh, yeah.
He has Ole Miss as an 11 seed in Dayton. They would be taking on Utah. If this bracket was the real one, Colorado Gonzaga, the other 11 game in Dayton. So
and if they won that game, they then would get Dayton in Pittsburgh.
Oh wow, that'd be a good game. So
it would be.
It would be a really good game. So right now, and Jerry Palm has Ole Miss as the second team in the last four in. So they're right there. Definitely need to make the most of these last couple of games. Win those games they're supposed to win, and be competitive in those games, and maybe try to get one of those wins of games that they're not projected to win, not favored to win. I think they're in good shape.
But they may not get to the NCAA tournament. I thought they would in the preseason. But I think fair-minded people can say this about Chris Beard in year one. He's gotten everything he can get out of them.
No, you're absolutely right. I think, and obviously, brought in some transfers, but this is not his, roster really. A lot of guys from last year's team and some good players down there from last year's team. But, coming in and kind of revitalizing and re-energizing the fan base and this program in less than a year already. I mean, you're seeing these home games for Ole Miss. I mean, it's packed out. The students are involved. They're engaged. And you're seeing some packed out games for Ole Miss. And I think that's the biggest thing is getting the fan base back into it. And then, I think you feel pretty confident with Chris Beard as your head coach that those NCAA tournament appearances will come if you just stick with them.
You can fill out the Pavilion. You can pack out Humphrey Coliseum, but it's hard. They're two tough jobs. Ole Miss much tougher than State with more of basketball history than Ole Miss. For Ole Miss, the next two at home against South Carolina Saturday, and midweek game next week against Alabama, and then the following weekend at Mizzou, and then they wrap it up with a road trip to Georgia in the last weekend of the year at home against A&M. When I said they hadn't lost anybody they shouldn't. Can't lose at Columbia. Can't lose to Mizzou.
No, and that's really a game that kind of scares me for them, because I think
because the home game did.
Right, and such a close game, and you've got to feel like at some point, Missouri is going to break through. I mean, there's certainly the possibility they don't, but we would feel like they're just going to fall into a win accidentally, and it could be that home game against Ole Miss. But no, I think a tough final stretch of the season for Ole Miss, but I think manageable.
That loss last night for Kentucky down at Baton Rouge, when the SEC tournament seed lines are established, that loss last night could very well affect them 4 spots.
Wow.
In SEC tournament. That means more basketball, more chances of the turned ankle, of the things that can go wrong. It probably cost them last night a line or two in the NCAA tournament bracket. Really tough loss, especially now hosting Bama on Saturday. Yeah. And we'll see Nate Oates' style. And there are a lot of people at Kentucky that, whenever there's a change from John Calipari, dream coach is Nate Oates.
Yeah, well, and that's going to be a big one. And just how that game ended last night, like I said, when I got home, I think there were 2 or 3 minutes left in that game, and I had it on, and for them to knock down a fadeaway jumper to get the lead, and then LSU comes down, they block the shot. I thought it was over. He gets the ball back, just tries to tip it up, and finds a man who tips it in, and I mean, just a crazy ending for LSU.
And a court storming.
You gotta love a court. We had a couple of court stormings last night. Penn State stormed after beating Illinois.
Penn State plays basketball?
They do, yes, they do, and we're pretty good last year. Mike Shrewsbury had them rolling last year, but no, for Kentucky, I mean, that's a big game against Alabama. I'm seeing Jerry Palms has them on the 6th line against Grand Canyon, which, I mean, I don't want to see Grand Canyon in my first game, that's for sure. But
for what it's worth, at the ESPN matchup predictor, everybody's got that, I'm sure, at the ready. 60% to about 40% right now predicting Bama to win on Saturday at Rupp. For Kentucky, this is how important, how devastating that loss was last night for them. That was one I had them winning the rest of the way. I've got a loss Saturday at home against Bama. Then on the road at State, and if you think it was rocking last night, it will really be rocking when Big Blue comes in there. Then they're at home against Arkansas, that'll be a win. At home against Vandy, that'll be a win. And on the last day of the year, they play at Thompson Bowling.
Yeah, no, that's the big one at Thompson
There's
Bowling.
At least 2 losses left.
It feels like it, and especially that game on the road at Tennessee. I mean, we saw what Tennessee did in Lexington, made it look really easy, and I know some injuries for Kentucky, but that is not an easy place to go play. At Mississippi State's not easy to go play. I mean, it could be a tough last stretch.
Did you see what Mr. Cool pulled last night post-game, John Calipari?
No, and I didn't see it, no.
So he goes in, and they were on the road at last night at LSU, and their next game is Saturday at 3 o'clock. So after 3 questions, hey, guys, got to cut it off. We got an early game, and I got to travel. Were they taking the stagecoach back to Lexington?
I mean, good Lord, I don't know.
He think he too cool, man.
He does. I mean, he's just the grooviest guy going. He always has.
Interesting.
And, I mean, were they walking back to Lexington?
I mean, Brett, you never know. I
mean, is Kentucky out on I-55 about Senatobia right now?
Well, Brett, I mean, especially down in Baton Rouge, I mean, you do not want to, you don't want to mess around with those LSU fans. I mean, you got to make sure you give yourself ample amount of time to get to your plane, because you never know what those Bayou Bengals will do to you.
So last night that game was over. What at 9:30?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, maybe 10. Yeah,
maybe 10. I think you could walk back to Lexington and get back there for the tip Saturday at 3.
It's a good question. I wonder if I could.
I don't want to, but
on maps they give you like
time.
Here's the time it'll take to drive. Here's
And
the time it'll
walk.
take by like bus. I wonder if
Walk-
I can
walk
find.
west.
Yeah, I wonder if I can find how long it would take for walking back to Lexington.
He tried to get in and out. That's exactly what he was thinking about.
You got to. You got to.
And you compare that to after Saturday's win for Kentucky when he was Mr. Gabfest and wanted to admonish the media. If you want to rip on somebody, you rip on me. Don't take it out on my kids.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Which, when we said it earlier, it didn't.
Kids, please.
Doesn't feel like many people have been too hard on his players this year.
I haven't really seen a lot of criticism about them though.
Not about the players. No.
Yeah.
It hadn't been.
He's got 2 of the top 6 picks, doesn't he, Brian?
Yes, he do.
Yeah.
Rob Dillingham and I can't. Who else?
And Johnny, I think he at least 4 will go first round.
Oh yes, for sure.
I think so.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, they've got a ton of talent on this team.
Yeah.
I couldn't find walking, but by bike I did find that.
Okay.
3 days and 3 hours by bike.
You know when I quit riding my bike, don't you?
When
you got your
the day I got my driver's license. That was the end of my bike days, Johnny.
Well, maybe a little bit different for Kentucky. 3 days and 3 hours is what it would take.
Leave Thursday, Friday. He wouldn't get there, would he?
Yes, I mean, hey.
I don't think
he had to go. That's why he had to go so fast.
That's why he had to get up out of there.
It was either take a bike or get on a G5.
That's right.
Hey, man.
Well, Brett, when you drive around and you see the groups of bikers that all bike together. I mean, look out these next couple of days because it might be
you might see Kentucky.
Might be John Calipari and his team biking back to Lexington.
What, Rob Dillingham with biker shorts on?
Yeah, man.
DJ Wagner.
What, the Tour de France going by? The Tour de Kentucky Wildcats?
The Tour to Kentucky Wildcats,
He's
man.
on a bike. No, but interesting. But,
Oh, we haven't told Johnny about when we break down the bike ride around France, have we?
Oh, my goodness.
Johnny.
Y'all do that too?
Oh, yeah, we break it down.
Oh, man, bro.
Johnny, we're an everything show. We get into it all.
We throw our French out and just break it down to bike ride around France.
Absolutely. We break it down.
This is amazing.
Mile
This
by
is
mile,
amazing.
mile by mile. But no, that
Summer
is
radio, Johnny.
That's right. You gotta do something.
Can't be fun in games all the time.
No, not at all. You gotta get some serious sports talk. French, the Tour de France.
And it kind of coincides. It doesn't. Bike ride happen around Wimbledon, British Open over there. So we're very European at that time of year.
Okay.
We are, fish and chips and all that, all the same. But no, it's some fun games last night, some interesting games tonight in college basketball, but really this weekend, a really good slate, including that Kentucky and Alabama game. But let's go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Join the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts for an evening with Cal Ripken Jr. February 22nd and celebrate a true champion. Ironman Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive games for the Baltimore Orioles. This 19-time All-Star, 2-time American League MVP, and Baseball Hall of Fame inductee is a true baseball icon. Get tickets at HeindelCenter.org to see Cal Ripken Jr. 7:30 p.m. Thursday, February 22nd at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the campus of Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia.
Chris Price, it's so good to see you. And you have a new business?
Yes, Dave. MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Have you noticed water stains on your ceiling? With storm season here, take a walk around your home or business and look up. Make sure there are no water stains signaling a leak prior to the heavy storms coming in. If you do see signs of water, call me. My team and I will come out, diagnose the problem, and prescribe a fix. Our team of Hague certified inspectors are waiting to assist with any inspection or repairs you may need. We have 3 crews dedicated to repairing roofs in the Mid-South. As certified Owens Corning Corning and Mule High dealers, we offer 20-year no-dollar limit labor and material warranties that offer hassle-free ownership. That's our hassle-free ownership guarantee. Allow Metro Builders team of professionals to assist you in maintaining your property's integrity and value.
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Your local commercial roof experts. Ask about our commercial roof maintenance agreements. Protect your investment with
MetroBuildersMemphis.com.
Call me, 901-375-1717. That's 901-375-1717. 375-1717.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
It's leap year, so jump into big savings at Gossett Kia on the Pike. New 2024 Kia Forte LXS gets 41 MPG, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. How about 7-passenger seating? Get 2023 Kia Sorento LX, $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. 2024 Kia Telluride LX, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease, and don't forget, every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. So call Bobby J to put you in a new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online anytime at KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 650 acquisition fee. Forte RE 722-812, MSRP 21,590. Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33,010. Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38,705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Around here at Wrangler, we are all excited for spring. The longer days, the warmer nights. When you've got your pick of shorts and jeans, either works just fine. Blue skies, open roads. Wrangler, for the ride of life.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brown. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
I think I have a silly big number today.
Okay.
That makes me laugh every time.
I have two, and one has a decimal point.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
okay.
Good luck with that. But this big number makes me chuckle every time I see it. The number is 10.
Okay, 10.
Johnny's facial expression just like completely changed when I said 10. He's not impressed.
I tried to maintain composure.
How about this? Okay, I'll change it. Okay, 1,200 is my big number.
Okay.
Now. Not 10. I've changed it.
Okay.
I want them both.
Okay.
Yeah, give it both,
well,
man.
perfect. They go hand in hand with each other. LeBron James has scored at least 10 points in 1,200 straight NBA games. That's 334 games longer than the next longest such streak in NBA history, which is held by Michael Jordan, who did that in 866.
Has LeBron ever not scored in double digits in his career? There's some amazing number. Maybe had 7 one time.
Yeah.
But when we get to the end for LeBron James, and we're not anywhere near it, and I don't want it to end. No. I love watching him play. That number is going to really stand out to go out and do that. That's right number. That's right up there with Wilt never fouling out.
No, I mean it's that just like I've pulled this stat up like 3 times today, and every time I pull it up, I just like that's hilarious. It's just a funny big number. Johnny just gave me a thumbs down, so don't say after you just gave me a thumbs down.
Brett, what do you got, Brett? I know you got something amazing.
I forgot to give this number earlier. This is just kind of my almost big number. Okay. When I was giving those TV ratings earlier, I mentioned $6 million for Daytona, $4 million for NBA All-Star Game. Sunday afternoon golf at Riviera drew 3.2 million.
Holy cow.
Man.
Only 800,000 less than an NBA All-Star game.
Wow. That's amazing.
Impressive.
That's very
I
impressive.
did not expect that they would get that.
And somebody, real quick, tell me who won the LA Open Sunday. Anybody know?
I don't know.
I think Hideki Matsuyama. I think
it was Hideki.
Did he win this week or last week?
This week.
I think so. My big number, though, is last night. We've talked so much about the Tiger game last night, and I was so scared we were all around it, in discussion about it. My big number is 17. That's how many points allowed in the second half. It was 40-35 at halftime.
Yeah.
They only got 17 in the second half. 0 free throws. Here's the scoring. They had a layup at the 17:33 mark, layup at the 16:13 mark, made three at 11:39 mark, a layup at 10:32, a dunk at 9:56, layup at 8:59, jumper at 6:34, and a layup at 4:35, and scoreless the last 4:35. They only made 8 field goals in the second half, 7 twos and a 3.
Wow. I mean, it was a bad second half. I'm telling you. I mean, that first half Charlotte team and that second half Charlotte team,
night and day.
I mean,
and that was the Tigers. That wasn't Charlotte going cold. That was defensive intensity, pressure, hands in fact.
Yeah.
Check it, getting out on their man. I don't expect the Tigers to do that in every game, but that effort, you have that effort, then the rosier scenarios playing out the rest of the way with 4 games remaining, and whatever happens in Fort Worth could happen.
No, you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I'm telling you, from the jump, every guy that was on the court was engaged. Every person on the bench was engaged, and it just looked different. I mean, I know
you saw no bad body language on the bench, did you?
And Brett, you made a real great point when you talking about the defense. They went back to what their quote unquote identity was, their defense, man, and it really showed up when the Tigers play like that, man. They really hard to beat, man. They really hard to beat.
Earlier, it was not a shot. I think it was fair that we've had the kind of the EKG machine through the years with Coach Hardaway. We need kind of that sustained consistency, something you can count on. If there had been anything through the years, it had been the calling card on defense, and that they got and it started. And I wrote it off at the time, but it started in the Bahamas in that first half against Villanova.
For sure.
You're right about that. But I'll be honest, and from where I was sitting, I could not see where Jordan Brown was sitting. He was like right behind the goal, like where the backboard is. He was like sitting right there.
He's not at Mayo Clinic, is he?
No, he was there.
Okay, good.
I know for a fact he was there.
Now we're going to have to send the card, Brett.
Yeah,
when he stood up, I could see him, but when he was sitting down, I could not see him. So I don't know what his body language is like. I know
but he was on the bench.
He was on the bench, and
that's good because when I saw that from Jason Munn's pregame, I thought, man, if this guy's quit him 3 times.
Yeah, no, and I know there was one point where Dandridge was in the post and did this move where he faked this way, faked that way, and then came back his left side and went up with it, and it was a really nice move and had his defender going all over the place, and Jordan Brown jumped up and had his mouth covered like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. So,
did he have a face mask on?
No. At that point, it was just his hands, and now I'm putting my hands in front of my face. Gotcha. It's not good for radio, but
there was some Dandridge Tomlin big man action last night for stretches. It was the best it's been all year.
Oh, yeah, I think that was one of the better performances offensively we've seen from the Tigers in terms of moving the ball, getting guys involved. I know when I got home, I can't remember which of the news stations I was watching, but they were talking about it was like one of the few times we've seen this year. There was a point last night where all 5 guys touched the ball and it led to a basket, and so I mean, certainly guys were moving around more, guys were talking more. It seemed like they were more together last night than they have certainly been most of the time through conference play, which is what you want to see, especially with FAU coming around the corner. But we need to get to a break and wrap up this hour. When we come back, we're going to be talking more Tigers with Greg Gaston.
You or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
All 650 acquisition fee, Forte RE722-812, MSRP 21,590, Sorrento PG 242710, MSRP 33010, Telluride RG 462-822, MSRP 38705. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/29/24 with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, you ready to get this party started at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah?
You bet I am, Randy. Gossett's got your new Kia that gets 41 MPG highway. 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $239 a month, $27.99 due at signing. Need extra room? How about a 2023 Kia Sorrento LX at $319 a month, $34.99 due at signing. And a 2024 Kia Telluride S all-wheel drive, $459 a month, $34.99 due at signing. All 36-month lease.
Plus, get peace of mind because with every Gossett Kia, you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
2680 Mount Moriah or online, KiaMountMoriah.com.
At Edwin Watts Golf Shops, there's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the all-new TaylorMade QI10 Max Driver, combining TaylorMade distance with the forgiveness of 10K inertia. Experience your drives in 10K. Visit us in-store for a free custom fitting at your local Edwin Watts Golf Shops, or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
If you love sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the big TVs on all the walls at Los Cabos and enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with lunch specials from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $3.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It is building out of the Midtown area. Sometimes it wants to run slow over here in the construction. We're looking at it live right now, and it is slow up through here on 55 northbound, headed up towards Crump. It's much better this afternoon. It has been the last 2 days, and I'm talking about 240 eastbound over here between Poplar, Walnut Grove, headed up towards Sam Cooper. That was a mess the last 48 hours, but now it looks good over here right now. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
Oh, yeah. From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 Mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg Gaston joins us now. You can hear him every single mornings with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli. He was also on the broadcast last night for Memphis and Charlotte over on ESPN+. Greg, thanks so much for joining us. And a good win for the Tigers last night, 76-52 over the Charlotte 49ers. Much different from what we saw last week in those 2 road games in Texas against North Texas and SMU. What stood out to you? What was different from the Tigers that you saw last night than what you saw in those 2 road games?
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, guys. Great to be on with you again. Home cooking certainly helped, but
this was certainly a desperate time, and they came through. We heard what Penny had to say about the practices on Monday and Tuesday, that he felt they were two of the best all season long. They worked on things like boxing out, and we saw that they were much better rebounding the basketball in that game last night. I just believe that after the embarrassment of that game against SMU on Sunday, they came back, they heard all the negativity out there in the city, and certainly understandable to a certain extent of people not being happy with the situation. 27-point loss at SMU. I mean, that's crazy. But they were challenged by Penny. They were challenged by this coaching staff. He made adjustments, not too many changes in the lineup, but Jaquan Walton came off the bench, played an awful lot. But they did play with just a little bit extra in their giddy-up. There was something last night. And, there were times when they certainly missed assignments on defense, but I think for the most part, that was the best defensive effort we've seen in a while. Mm-hmm. For the most part, they responded, and that was important because I was really worried about that game, if it didn't go their way and it went south, what the reaction would be the next day, because talk is cheap and there's only so much you can do. But they came through for Penny. Penny said you'd see a different team, and they were a different team last night.
Yeah, they almost had to, and they did. Greg, I would say in your time in town, low side, you've called 400 Tiger games. Have you ever put a number to it?
I've never thought about it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I was doing my first games in '96. Or in the early years, we were doing a lot of Tigers games.
About 20.
A lot of Tigers games. About 20, sometimes even 22, 23. It was crazy.
Yeah.
We would do
tournaments.
NIT games. Absolutely. So it's a lot less now, but I don't think that's a ludicrous number.
Not at all. And then you throw in games that you go to for this radio station or for your work at TV stations. So we're easy over 500. And I bring it up because that's more than a good sample size. We've heard so much this year about worst loss ever, worst I've ever seen. Heard Sunday, one of the worst displays. I go back to last year's FAU loss in the tournament. That I think that is the worst loss in Tiger basketball history for this reason. Not how they played. They played hard. They didn't get the timeout recognized. Coulda, shoulda, all that. But what it prevented, because they would have defeated Fairleigh Dickinson. They had a really good shot at the Garden against Tennessee. I think they had a good shot at Naquan Tomlin in Kansas State. What it prevented, Sunday afternoon's the first chance you can get some payback for that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and to an extent, it certainly makes sense. You're looking at what could have happened as a result of winning that game, and having lost that game and watching Florida Atlantic go to the Final Four, it was a devastating loss. No question about it. There are other people that would believe that a performance-laden game where you get blown out would be more
like Sunday.
Yeah, it would be a game they would list under worse losses.
Drexel gets mentioned.
No question. I was there. I was at the pit for that one in Albuquerque, and boy, oh boy, was that a bad loss. And that's going way back. But the game on Sunday, when there were plays that they quit on, they weren't getting back on defense, it seemed like that was rock bottom. So certainly, and then you think back to that USF game where they had a 20-point lead, they were cruising, this team was playing incredibly well, they obviously got up to number 10 in the nation and lost that 20-point lead. To me, that really changed things for the Tigers, and it changed things for USF going in the other direction. That win catapulted them to where they are now at the top of the standings. But the loss to Florida Atlantic last year was certainly devastating because you had played well. I praise, and I still do, the coaching job that Penny did last year. He had a standout player in Kendrick Davis and another darn good player in DeAndre Williams, and the rest of the guys were role players, and they knew their role, and they got better as the season progressed. And I thought that he did a great job in coaching them to get them in the position that they were in. And we talked about it, Brett. You talked about it. I talked about it. Everybody talked about, wow, look at the road that's set up. Even though they weren't a 2 or a 3 or a 4 seed,
it's right
look
there.
at the road in front of the Tigers. It's right there for the taking. They had outplayed them. Obviously, the controversy with the timeout, no timeout. But the last play, devastation, playing matador defense as Florida Atlantic gets the win and the guy gets to the bucket. And that is devastating. When you think about what could have come from that victory, who knows if they would have went as far as Florida Atlantic? Nothing's guaranteed, but at least they would have had that opportunity, and they were thwarted that opportunity by Florida Atlantic. So, yes, Sunday is that first payback against the Owls. This was the game, this one, and, of course, the last game of the regular season before the conference tournament in Boca. These were the two games that everybody, not just Memphis or Florida Atlantic fans, but everybody around the conference or college basketball that looked at the American Conference, they looked at those two games. They circled those two games. Florida Atlantic is sitting there near the top. They're in third place at 10-3, and they've had some moments that you wonder, wow, maybe not as good as last year, but they've also had moments where you go, yeah, this is the same type of team. Obviously, the Tigers have had the weirdest year ever. Jekyll and Hyde, great at the beginning, not so good here of late, with the exception of last night. So you wonder if that will have the impact that I thought it would have to begin the season. Well, I know the ticket sales are good for this one. I know there's a lot of folks that have gone out and purchased individual game tickets for this particular one. And, of course, you have the season ticket holders. I think it'll be a very, very good crowd. I think the crowd will be into it, Brett. I'm not going to sit here and predict a Memphis win. I think it's still an uphill battle. But I think the Tigers, coming off the game last night, and what you said, having that history with Florida Atlantic from last season, if you can't get inspired for a game like this one, then you can't get inspired, period. I think they'll be inspired. I would not be surprised if this game is a game that goes down to the wire, maybe even overtime.
And that darn loss in Columbus, what it potentially prevented, if they go on and just beat, they'd beat Fairleigh Dickinson. I think we can all agree with that. If they just do that, Sweet 16, that insulates Penny Hardaway from a lot of this noise. If he goes that next weekend to Madison Square Garden and beats Tennessee, we're renaming streets, and he's got a 10-year contract.
Yeah, that's how close it was, right?
That's how close it is.
Game, but you can only look at what happened. You can't sit here and say, well, if this happened, it would have been this. It didn't happen. They lost. It was a devastating loss.
But for the Tuck rule and Tom Brady.
Well, defensively, and I know this team has had its issues this year, but Penny came in with the mindset of playing great defense, that we will win a lot of games and have a lot of success if we play great defense. And last year's team was a good defensive team. They were a real solid defensive team. And again, they didn't have 5 or 6 studs from other programs. These guys knew their role. They went in there. They got their nose dirty. They were really hard-nosed players, and they got their share of rebounds, and they weren't burned on the boards. And then this year's team, you watch them at times just look anemic rebounding the basketball. Not as physical as last year's team, not as hard-nosed, but we saw it last night, and we saw it at times earlier in the year. So we know it's possible. They're talented, but they could also play the part, but they've only played the part at times, and that's been the biggest problem. So, yes, there's certainly going to be criticism with this team this year, and there should be criticism. A team that was ranked 10th, I can't remember off the top of my head schools that were ranked 10th during the middle of the season and dropped out where they didn't make the tournament. But there's still time in the sense that, no, they're not going to get an at-large even if they sweep the 4 that are remaining. I don't believe so. I'm not Lenardi or Palm, but I don't think that's possible. I don't think you guys believe it is either. And I know Penny said maybe if we win big in all these games, maybe we get back into the conversation. Maybe they do. But right now, the mindset has to be on Fort Worth, Dickies Arena, because they are certainly capable. I'm not going to sit here and predict that they're going to win, which more than likely will be 4 games in 4 nights or 4 days. But I think that if they play the way they did last night, they dismantled that Charlotte team.
None of these teams scare me in the league.
No,
either.
But here's the other thing, too. I don't think these teams are scared of Memphis. I
agree
now.
with that.
Yeah. They normally are, right, going into the season. I kind of believe that in the Super Bowl thing to a certain extent. I don't think certainly like an Ole Miss, it's like it's their Super Bowl when you play in the SEC. But when you play in the American and you've just come over from Conference USA and you're looking at Memphis and, of course, Florida Atlantic this year as the behemoths. And so there's stepping up to play those guys. Well, now after Memphis has gone through some losses and some bad times, there's no fear to play Memphis. But I think on the other end, like you said, I don't think there's a team that Memphis can't beat. Now, You ask me next week after this Florida-Atlanta game, if they get throttled at home, then I might be singing a different tune. But I think it's possible. It's highly unlikely that they run through and get the AQ, but it's possible.
I know Jalen Young's been dealing with an injury. He was out again last night. But what have you heard on Hardaway, Jaden Hardaway, and Jordan Brown, their injuries, why they were out? And then what is your thoughts on what happened with David Jones? And it sounds like a scratched eyeball. Or are you concerned about that for Sunday?
Well, the first part of the question, the three guys that didn't play last night, if I'm not mistaken, I heard Wolo and Penny's interview after the game, and Penny said that the three of them should be okay to go on Sunday. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Now, whether or not
I did too. I listened as well, Greg.
Right. So that's what he said. Again, he's not limiting the rotation, and of course, last night with David Jones going out, you had to find 10 to 15 more minutes from other guys, and there was a limited bench. So I was not surprised with most of the guys playing, everybody, I believe, but Noah Stansbury. So we'll see if those three guys come into play. Now, this is a game against Florida Atlantic that I believe will be close, like I told you. Therefore, I think he should shrink his bench. Hopefully he will shrink his rotation, and not go real deep on the bench, because this is the type of game when you need your studs to be all playing 32 to 35, depending on the foul situation and things of that nature. But the David Jones thing that you brought up, Brian, is the most important thing, because I haven't heard anything today, and I've been basically sitting at home and keeping up on X, and I have not, unless I missed it, anything further on his eye that seemed to have been scratched in that game last night that took him out. If they don't have David Jones, you talk about an uphill battle, because David Jones is 22 points a game. Where are you going to get that output offensively? Who's going to step up if he can't go? So fingers crossed for Tigers fans out there that David Jones is able to go on Sunday, and you got the full arsenal.
Yeah, absolutely. What'd you make of Jaquan Walton last night? We heard Penny Hardaway say earlier in the week a couple of times that he was going to shake up the rotation, that you were only going to see guys that cared, and people were wondering what would that mean to starting lineup. Walton came off the bench. He immediately gets hit with a technical, and they called it a double tech on both guys. But he ends up with 9 points, 5 rebounds, seemed more engaged both on the bench and on the court. What did you think about him coming off the bench last night?
Penny kicked him in the butt, not literally, kicked him in the butt figuratively, and he responded. And he has been, at times, unfortunately, more times than not, kind of sleepwalking, going through the motions. He hasn't shot the ball real well. He's not been he doesn't communicate like I think Penny thought he would. But last night, that technical foul, you think about it, well, is that a good thing? Well, it's a double technical, so it doesn't matter. It evened out. But that's what he wanted to see. He wanted to see fire, and that's what he got from Walton. So whether or not that ignites him for the remainder of the season, which would be nice, we'll find out on Sunday. But I think Walton got the message last night, and I thought he had a really good game coming off the bench.
Greg, last night, a lot of fouls called in the Memphis-Charlotte game, a lot of fouls called in the Ole Miss-Mississippi State game around college basketball. It's a tough job. This is not an attack on the referees. I know a lot of college basketball referees. I'm friends with them. I know they have a hard job to do. How would you like to see? Would you like to see no blood, no foul, or would you like to see it by the strict definition of the rule book? If you want contact, football's your sport.
Yeah, in my prerogative, I would like to see less fouls called in the game than more fouls called in the game, unless it's just a bloodbath out there. We're talking about some teams that play incredibly physical, and they shouldn't be able to get away with murder, if you will. They should be calling those games a lot tighter. And who knows if the officials talk about it going into a game that, all right, this one is going to be two physical teams. We got to call it closer, because if we don't, maybe it gets out of hand. Who knows what happens in the meetings as they prepare for a game. But overall, in general terms, I don't want to see a free throw shooting contest. I just don't. Now, down the stretch, don't eat the whistle. If there's a play and it happens to be an obvious call and it may determine the fate of a game, you call the game. That's why you're paid, to make those tough calls. But overall, I would say, Brett, yeah, I would rather have less calls in a game than more calls in a game.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we were talking about the conference tournament earlier. It'll be here before we know it. How high do you think the Tigers can get in terms of seeding for the conference tournament if they, continue to find success over these last 4 games?
It's interesting. So I tried to study the scenarios before I came on with you guys, and it's still mind-boggling. I'm looking at it right now. So you have a bunch of teams that have only played 13 games so far in conference, and others like Memphis that's played 14. And for those who don't know out there, you got South Florida at 13-1, you got Charlotte at 11-3, you got Florida Atlantic at 10-3, you got SMU at 10-3, UAB at 9-4, and then Memphis 8-6 with a half-game lead over North Texas and East Carolina. Remember, North Texas would have the head-to-head tiebreak against Memphis. East Carolina, they still have to play. But Memphis is looking to try to get to the top 4. I think it's going to be incredibly tough to do so. Even sweeping Florida Atlantic, that would be, let's say Florida Atlantic doesn't lose another game, they'd only have 5 losses. Memphis already has 6. If Florida Atlantic lost both games to Memphis and lost to another team, then Memphis would win that head-to-head tiebreak. So that would be one that you leaped. I looked at the tiebreak scenarios. Obviously, you look at head-to-head. After head-to-head, it's the best record against the highest seed in the tournament. And unfortunately, the highest seed looks like, unless they go down the tank the last 2 weeks of the season, is going to be South Florida. And Memphis lost in their only game to South Florida. So they would lose the tiebreak against a couple of teams like SMU, who beat South Florida. So long-winded answer, I think it's really going to be tough to get to the top 4. And that means you won't get the double bye. That means you're going to have to win 4 games in 4 days.
Greg, I did this to Bryant the other day, so here you go for you. I'm going to set the number at 1.5. Over or under 1.5, the number of NCAA tournament wins by the AAC.
Over, under 1.5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go over, under 1.5. That's a good number, too. So that would have to be getting to the Sweet 16.
No, it could be a collection of teams. You could have 2 teams each win 2 games. You could have 2 teams go over. You could have 2 teams.
I don't know about that. I
don't
win
know
one. If it's going to happen. No, I understand that, but I don't know if they're going to get multiple teams. I think seriously, I believe that either if Florida Atlantic's going to win that conference tournament, or Memphis is going to make a run, although the percentages are low, but I still think it's possible. I think South Florida is going to get beat in the tournament. They're not going to have a good enough resume, non-conference, to get in at large, although they've been creeping up slowly, but they're still well on the outside looking in. Right now, if I was a betting man, I'd say Florida Atlantic gets in, and that may be it.
Yeah.
So and win 1? Yeah, so under.
Yeah. Well, can they win? Can they get to the Sweet 16? I think they have the talent. It's basically the same team that's back from last year. I would tend to say under, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got to the Sweet 16 again. But I'd go under for betting purposes here.
Does it feel like for you, do you think USF can win the conference tournament? Who do you think can really win this conference tournament?
Well, I just said Florida Atlantic. Mm-hmm. I still think Memphis can make a run.
Yeah.
I think SMU is playing really well. I think they can win the tournament. I'm sorry, I know South Florida has been really good. They squeezed by UTSA on the road last night. I don't think they're having a great year. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're as good as that record would indicate. I'd be surprised if they win the conference tournament. I think it's going to be one of those 3 teams. I don't think, Charlotte, my gosh, Patterson, I know got into foul trouble early, but they did not look good at all. And I don't think there's anybody else that I would consider seriously. UAB, North Texas, these are decent teams, and obviously they beat Memphis. Yeah. But we saw last night again what they're capable of doing. I don't know if these teams can put it in that gear that Memphis did, other than SMU and Florida Atlantic. Maybe USF can do it, but I just think they're going to falter in the tournament.
Greg, I think you're going to the Cal Ripken event tonight that we've heavily
I am
promoted, and we appreciate being a part of that promotion package. So the Colts were your football team, and the Phillies are your baseball team. Did you have any tug of war in '83? Was any of you for the Orioles? Was it all Phillies?
No, my wife was for the Orioles. She was a huge Baltimore fan. I was for the Phillies, and obviously
look good up 1-0.
Look, I'm a Phillies fan. I had nothing to do with the Baltimore Orioles other than I got a chance to cover them and actually be able to cover Cal Ripken Jr., but I was a Phillies fan through and through. But it's very weird because people wonder why I was a Colts fan, and I told that story just growing up as a young kid, and you start to go out there and you buy apparel, and, I remember going to the
Burt
store.
Jones was your guy.
Burt Jones was my guy. But I started liking the Colts before Burt Jones when Johnny U, when I remember watching on TV and seeing that U on the helmet with the black tops, with the flat top hair, with the number 19.
And Raymond Berry.
Just Raymond Berry, Tom Matty, Norm Bulash.
John Mackey.
John Mackey, the great tight end.
Don Nottingham.
The bowling ball, Don Nottingham. Bubba Smith was one of my favorite players.
My wide receiver, Sam Haverlack.
Sam Haverlack. They had was it Gene Carr or Carr? It was one of the guys. I think it was Carr. Raymond Berry. We already mentioned that. That was a little bit before that. But yeah, I fell in love with the Colts, and people in South Jersey were like, "What are you doing? Why aren't you an Eagles fan?" No, I'm a Colts fan and I'm a Phillies fan. I was a Flyers fan.
Razorback fans would love it. Billy Ray Smith Sr. Was on the Colts.
Billy Ray Smith, absolutely. But the one thing I didn't, as a kid, I was not a big NBA guy. I was more a college basketball fan. And then grew into an NBA fan when Dr. J came to Philadelphia. Although I don't consider the Sixers my team. I really don't consider having an NBA team. So obviously I hope for good things for the Grizzlies. But from a rooting interest, really no NBA team. I never had one growing up.
Greg, when we come back, we're going to take the break. When we come back at 5:30, Johnny's going to play the highlight from 44 years ago today, February 22nd. 1980, Dateline, Lake Placid. It was a Friday afternoon. Where were you when the United States beat the Red Army, the Soviet Union, in 4-3 in Lake Placid? Where were you that day?
I watched it. Give me the date again, and maybe I can come up
Today,
with kind of a scenario.
February 22nd.
No, the year. I'm sorry.
1980.
1980. So 1980. So I didn't start college till September of '80. So I was a senior in high school in February, and I would say I was probably up to no good. No, I was watching that game, probably watching that game at home.
Did you know it was taped when you watched it that Friday night? Did you know the result they had already played?
I did not know the result. I
did
not
either.
know the result. I don't know if it was because I wasn't looking, or I didn't even think about that you can do that and that it was taped.
I had no clue. I still don't know what the blue line is, so I sure didn't know it had already been played.
Well, there's still a lot of people that believe the Miracle on Ice was for the gold, and it was not.
It was not. So Sunday afternoon was for the goal.
But it was absolutely amazing. In fact, I put that down as a topic to talk about tomorrow. Somebody came up with it on Twitter today, and I thought it was great, so I want to steal it from them. That if you can go back in time and relive watching one sporting event, what would it be?
Oh, wow.
Whether you were born or not born, whatever it is in the history of sport.
Very good.
What would be the one event that you want to be able to see, have them do it again, and you'd be involved in watching it?
Of course, it was on television. It was not live. I didn't know Lake Placid existed until that day. But I do think that is the number one sports moment in my life.
It's hard to beat. It really is hard to beat. I mean, there were some amazing Super Bowl moments, and when Jim O'Brien kicked that field goal in Super Bowl V for the Colts to win 16-13 was a great moment. But the pride we had in our country, right, the red, white, and blue, and going into the 80s, going into US,
I think Nicholas at the Masters 86 is second.
Look, Nicholas in '86, some Tiger moments. These are all great moments, but to pick out one that you could relive, whether you missed it or whether you saw it, to be there in person if it wasn't televised, or to watch it on TV, That's something to think about. So I got to think about that.
Well, Greg, stay tuned. You'll hear the dulcet tones of Al Michaels. He's done well in the last 44 years, hasn't he?
He's done all right.
Never heard of him.
Local Los Angeles TV guy got stuck with hockey and kind of came out with a big break out of it.
Yeah,
something like
that. Did okay for himself.
Yeah.
Did all right. Well, Greg, as always, thanks so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Greg.
We'll do it again next week.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Gaston, he joins us every week, Talk Tigers. You can hear him every morning and be a part of that conversation tomorrow morning that he will bring up during Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli. Well, we are late for a break. Let's go ahead and grab that. When we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hot wings. What's your favorite flavor? The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination, has 32 delicious flavors to choose from and counting. And now the Crazy Coop at 7199 Highway 64 in Bartlett is counting its first year with an anniversary party. Beginning Friday, February 23rd, and all that weekend, enjoy a Crazy Coop special. Includes 3 whole wings or 6 party wings, fries, and a drink with any one of their 32 mouth-watering flavors for just $8.99. From classic favorites to exciting new creations, there's something for everyone at the Crazy Coop. At the Crazy Coop anniversary party, they'll have Sports 56 broadcasting live on Friday, February 23rd from 3 to 6, plus DJ spinning music, food samples, and also prize giveaways all weekend. The Crazy Coop, 7199 Highway 64 between Appling and Kirby Whitten. Family owned and operated. The Crazy Coop, America's premier wing destination.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous. A legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is hard to believe, but the Hyundai Santa Fe is actually better. I know, that's crazy, isn't it? The 2024 Santa Fe is new, top to bottom, and even better than before. It's almost as big as the Palisade, so roomy, and now it's got a standard third row. Everybody's clamoring for that. And it's the best SUV when it comes to the ride than ever before. You know how with SUVs you love it because you're sitting high, but you don't get that luxury kind of ride like a sedan? You do with the 2024 Santa Fe. It's the best riding SUV ever, and it's quiet. It's the ultimate family car. All you've got to do to be sold is to test drive it. The people at Homer Skelton Hyundai are saying, come try it. You'll love it. Homer Skelton Hyundai, right at the corner of Highway 78 and Craft Road. First exit in Mississippi. Go see the ultimate SUV, the 2024 Santa Fe.
Join the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts for an evening with Cal Ripken Jr., February 22nd, and celebrate a true champion. Ironman Cal Ripken Jr. played 2,632 consecutive games for the Baltimore Orioles. This 19-time All-Star, 2-time American League MVP, and Baseball Hall of Fame inductee is a true baseball icon. Get tickets at HeindelCenter.org to see Cal Ripken Jr., 7:30 p.m. Thursday, February 22nd at the Heindel Center for the Performing Arts on the campus of Northwest Mississippi Community College in Senatobia. Get your tickets and get loud for your Memphis Grizzlies when they face off against the Los Angeles Clippers at FedEx Forum tomorrow at 7 p.m. for Gospel Night. Enjoy a post-game concert with Jonathan Traylor and get ready for a star-studded show by securing your tickets at Grizzlies.com.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
No, Johnny, I wanted you to play the Al Michaels, the countdown of winning the game over the Soviet Union. You got that ready?
28 seconds.
Thank you.
The crowd going insane. Karlamon shooting it into the American end again. Morrow is back there. Now Johnson, 19 seconds. Johnson over to Ramsey. Leonov gets checked by Ramsey. McClanahan is there. The puck is still loose. 11 seconds. You've got 10 seconds. The countdown going on right now. Morrow up to Schultz. 5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes!
That was 44 years ago today. As I said with Greg, it was a Friday afternoon. Brian, I played in a church league basketball game that afternoon. Yeah. And forgive me, but we were already over to a friend's house drinking beer after a Friday afternoon's big church league basketball game, and watching it with his parents. In fact, where I watched it is not 100 yards from where I'm sitting right now.
Really?
And some of the room knew it was taped, and some didn't. And late in the game, I didn't believe that they really did. So for veracity's sake, a lovely person, she wrote down the score but covered it up where I couldn't see it. So then when the game was over, I said, "You really did know." I said, "How'd you sit there and enjoy it like that?"
That's great.
But we did enjoy it, and that call. The best part about it is that nat sound of that crowd about to tear the roof off.
Oh yeah.
And that was emblematic of I almost joked up, of the entire country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest sports moments in American history, and I mean, just every year.
The upset.
Yeah.
I mean, just 2 weeks before that, in a friendly exhibition, whatever, they had met at Madison Square Garden, and I think the final was like 10-3.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
And you had to pull Jim Craig as goalie. I didn't know any of this at the time. I've read about it since. Because again, I still don't know what a blue line is, or offsides, or any of that stuff.
We gotta fix that, Brett.
I think I got in the crease down. I think I got that down.
Right.
I'm still trying to learn too, Brett.
Oh, Johnny, hey,
We'll
look,
teach both of y'all.
And that was going to be hockey's big moment, and that it didn't last long. And Jim Craig was on the cover of Sports Illustrated a few weeks later, being drafted by Atlanta in the NHL. But it was some upset. The call by Al Michaels is great. Ken Dryden, the analyst, and he was a legendary NHL goalie. His unbelievable, just one word, almost made the call.
Oh yeah, no, that is one that doesn't get talked about as much, but I mean, a super underrated call.
So, Mikey and Dryden story. One night, have you ever played? Did you ever hear of Trivial Pursuit? The game.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never played it though.
Well, it was famous in the 80s. We're playing a big Trivial Pursuit game one night, and to win the whole big thing was who was the analyst on hockey with Al Michaels at the 1980 Lake Placid Winter Olympics. Yeah. And I said, Ken Darden. I really didn't know. And I got because I didn't know hockey, but and a big row ensued over. No, you didn't get it right. I said, closer than you ever would have gotten it. You didn't. Yeah. You wouldn't have gotten Ken right. and had a big row over Ken Darden Dryden.
Wow. Well, hey, at least you got part of it, I guess, closer than they would have, like you said. But no, I mean, obviously before my time, but they made the movie of it, Miracle, and
I never saw the movie.
Oh, one of my favorite movies of all time. I love it, and so obviously from a young age, watching that movie, knew about just kind of that entire road to it, and then winning that game. It's just an unbelievable story.
Well, I bet that was informational for you to kind of know that whole backstory and. And just what a heavy favorite. Some even said at that time that it would have been the equivalent of a bad high school baseball team beating the World Series champions that year.
Yeah.
Which I think was Greg's Phillies in fall of 80. Fall of 79 was We Are Family, the Pirates. But it was just such the underdog and had so many things going on around the story. The great Vern Lundquist has told the story that in December of 1979, Roone Arledge, who was the biggest name in network broadcasting at that time, and kind of the creator of Monday Night Football, and I think by this time he's running all of ABC, not just the sports division. But anyway, he has all the talent, all the announcers that are going to work on the 1980 Olympics in Lake Placid. He had them all to New York City for workshops and get-togethers before and to divvy up assignments for things for the Olympics. And the two biggest names at ABC at that time were Howard Cosell for Monday Night Football and Keith Jackson for college football. Yeah. And they knew that Jim McKay would be in his role as studio host, that he really made famous out of the heartache and the tragedy of the 1972 Munich Summer Olympics in 1972 when the Israeli athletes were killed by terrorists. So they knew he would be in that role. But Keith Jackson could just about name whatever role he wanted to be in, and Cosell was kind of floater. He would do he would do a couple of different things, and the Olympics really weren't his strong suit. So Vern Lundquist said that Keith Jackson walked into a meeting and with that big booming voice said, "I don't care what you put me on. You're not sticking me with hockey. I'm doing Eric Heiden from Kenosha, Wisconsin. He's going for Olympic record in speed skating. Do not stick me on that blankety blank hockey. I'm doing speed skating." So Roone Arledge said, "Well, who's got some hockey experience?" And Al Michaels said, "I did the Kings a few years for KLAC in Los Angeles. I got some hockey, and it made his career."
That's incredible. I did not know all of that. That is new, a new story to me. That's incredible. I mean, so just kind of was not first pick. Just kind of, we got to find somebody who in here has done hockey.
Yeah, and you're stuck with it.
Wow, that is incredible.
And Ken Dryden, I don't know if he had retired. And Google real quick I think he was famous goalie for the Canadians on some of their dynasty teams, but I'm sure they were just probably trying to find just anybody to spend 2 weeks up there and do it, because it was such a foregone conclusion that the Soviet Union would steamroll through the Olympics.
Yeah, no, and that was everyone thought that, and like you said, they played in that exhibition, before at Madison Square, and it was not even close. It wasn't even a competition. But you're right. Ken Dryden played for the Canadians. That's right, the Montreal Canadiens. So
old number 30, I think.
You're spot on. Maybe I didn't.
Why do so many goalie types wear 30?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Is it just kind of like quarterbacks wear 12 a lot?
I think so.
Because Jim Craig was number 30 for that Olympic team, and there are a lot of 30s, there are a lot of number 1s. Interesting story, the backup goalie on that Olympic team, I think his name was Steve Jansen, never played a second.
Really?
Not at the Olympics, not in Lake Placid. Never got on the ice except for celebration. And the country was in a very different spot. President Carter, a really, really, really fine man, but it had a tough years as president, and sure wish him the best in what he's going through. Over a year now in hospice care. Can you imagine? And really good man, but the country was in a tough spot at that time, and we needed it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and I mean
hockey.
Who would have thought, Brett? Hockey. I love it. No, but certainly fun, and always, you always get it when, Team USA is in, the Winter Olympics come around and Team USA is playing hockey. You'll get clips from the Miracle on Ice, and obviously, and I'm telling you, get ready. I mean, we're about to have some really good American hockey teams for the Olympics, so get ready.
I'm looking forward to it.
Are we sending the pros again?
I believe so. I think we are. So it sounds like, from what I've heard, that there's going to be some really good USA teams.
Another real factor in that game was the Cold War with the Soviet Union, and we almost knew that we were going to boycott and not send a team to the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow.
Right. Oh, wow. I didn't think about that either. But, yeah, I mean, unbelievable. One of my favorite. I've only seen the movie. I've seen, obviously, clips from the actual game. But the movie is really where I have gotten, and some books and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen the movie, too.
Most of my information. But, I mean, it's turned into, even though I was not around then, one of my favorite sports events in history. And,
but as Greg said, you had to come back and win on Sunday to win gold.
Yeah.
And I think that was against Finland.
I think it was Finland. It was Finland, yeah.
And had to win that one. Or, it a little bit like the David Freese home run. Would it have been as big if the Cardinals come back and lose Game 7?
Yeah.
If they beat the Soviet Union on Friday and get shut out 4-0 by, or is it Neil in hockey? I don't know.
No, it's Zip.
Is it okay? Lose 4-0 and on Sunday and silver medal.
Yeah.
Is it as good a story? Probably not.
Probably not. No, that's a really good point. And same thing with David Freese, because I mean that is by far the marquee moment of that series and really that entire season. And you had to come back and win another game to win it all.
That's my favorite sports moment. I talked about of everything that's been done. 1980 Olympics, Nicholas in '86. Watch those on television. To attend in person, Freeze's home run far and away number one, and then I have about a 20-way tie for second.
I love that.
A big Ole Miss wins.
Yeah.
I was there for Tigers' 15th at Augusta, his 5th Masters, his 15th major, and Coach Bryant's last game here in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, no, there's certainly when Greg brought up that topic that he said he's going to bring up on his show in the morning of
I'll be listening.
What's a game? What's a sports event that you wish you could go back? And I mean, I was having a really hard time. I was in my head going, well, this or that or that. I mean, I was having a tough time trying to figure out one.
Almost as good as not knowing anything about hockey is watching '86 Sunday. Jack Nicklaus shooting. I think he shot 35. I think he shot 35-30. I think he shot 30 on the back.
Holy cow.
I mean, he needed every bit of it.
Yeah.
And watching it with my dad, and between us, we couldn't tell you the difference between a pitching wedge and a 9-iron.
That's great, but hey,
and watching the Masters, it really sparked my interest in golf.
But
that Sunday.
And knew that was special watching, even though he didn't know much about golf. He knew that was special.
Neither one of us really knew what we were watching.
Right. Hey, that's sometimes how it goes. But like you say, it can spark a long time fandom. Just a moment like that, seeing it is definitely huge. And the anniversary of Miracle on Ice is certainly something that is huge in American sports history. But we need to go ahead and get to a break. And when we come back, we'll wrap up today's show with Taco Bell Crunch Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Edwin Watts Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf, there's something that binds us all. The collective goal to transcend the ordinary. Introducing the Ping G430 Max 10K driver. Straighter flies farther with Ping's most forgiving driver ever made. The Max 10K. Come in today and test drive Ping's newest driver at Edwin Watts Golf Shops. Visit us at your local Edwin Watts Golf Shops or shop us online at worldwidegolf.com. Get there.
Hi, I'm Maddie Berner, an outfielder for the University of Memphis softball team. Trying to decide on a spring break vacation? Whether it's for a spring break vacation or a home renovation, apply today for a personal loan with Southern Security. Join Southern Security today and make your dreams a reality. Southern Security is a proud supporter of University of Memphis athletics and 901 Women. Southern Security, your home team credit union.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-270-3388. That's 800-270-3388. 800-270-3388.
Hey, this is Eli Savoy, and I've got a question for you. Who wants to pay full retail for a pre-owned car or truck when you can buy it at wholesale? Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, right off Covington Pike, has an unlimited selection of super sharp pre-owned cars and trucks you can buy at the wholesale price. And right now, you can use your tax refund as all or part of a down payment and still just pay the wholesale price. Chevy Silverados, F-150s and Ram trucks, Tahoes, Explorers, Jeep Wranglers, Grand Cherokees, Renegades, a Cadillac SRX, Camaros, Mustang convertible, Hyundais. Check it out. Go to wucars.com or Google Wholesale Unlimited Memphis. This is great. Your money goes a long way when you can buy at the wholesale price, and tax refund time makes it even better. Go to Wholesale Unlimited on Pleasant View, just off Covington Pike, with guaranteed approval. Tell them you heard about it right here on Sports 56, and you can thank me later.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live.
In your life have you seen anything like that?
Goodbye! Hello, high school.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin, this baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Well, Brett, I've talked about it before, but what I learned today, we're getting more and more information about the college football video game series that is returning this season. It was announced today that all FBS schools will be in the game when the game drops. And today it was sent out to each player in college football. All scholarship players today could sign on to be in the game, and in return for being in the game, they will each get a $600 check and a copy of the game. So now we saw every school earlier today post a graphic saying they'd be in the game. Now we're seeing actual athletes posting that they are going to be in the game. Most notably here locally, Jackson Dart just about an hour ago posted on his Instagram page that he will be in the new game. So a lot of the players seem very excited about it, and we're getting closer and closer to getting it back. And Brad, I know for you that
I can't wait to get my copy, man.
But I'm telling you, me and Johnny,
I know you are.
I'm getting my copy, man.
Absolutely.
I know you are. What team are you? You going to be the Tigers?
Well, yeah, but you got to take a small school.
You got to take a small school, Brett.
I'm leaning Sam Houston right now. That seems like
I'm leaning UMass.
Ooh, UMass was a classic back in the day.
That's a tough one there, Johnny. Good luck. Good luck. What I learned today, guess what Sunday will be at FedEx Forum, Bryant?
A big one.
Must win.
Oh, must win. How could I miss that? Oh, shame
must
on me.
win against a Final Four team last year, and the win over the Tigers, it launched their Final Four run in Columbus. Bad blood from that game, and any at-large slim hopes that remain hang on Sunday afternoon at FedEx Forum.
It absolutely does. What I could have done without, Brad, I'm going back to the baseball uniforms. I said it earlier. I'm seeing more and more pictures. I saw one earlier. I can't remember who it was, but they're wearing black sliding shorts under their pants. You could see the slider shorts. You could also see the Nike logo on the sliding shorts. I mean, it's just really bad. Now, I will say this. Watching the first spring training game earlier today on ESPN, I didn't lose my mind as much as I thought I would on the jerseys and the backs of the jerseys. I think I still need to see.
There's not anything up top I don't mind seeing. It's down low I don't want to see.
It's down low. It's the see-through paint.
Way down low.
Yes. So it's really a mess right now.
One time I was playing golf, and a friend of mine asked me, he said, do you ever wear white shorts? I go, no. Too much can go wrong.
Well, that's a good point. Brett, also,
I like it, Brett.
Also, I saw today some people saying that they have heard that the numbers are peeling off when they're getting washed, which would certainly not be a good thing. Of
course, Johnny, you know who they'll blame. They'll blame the equipment.
They're blaming
us every time.
Support.
I could have done without a couple of things. One, I sent it to you, Brian. A good friend of mine is in Vegas right now at the blackjack table and firing at them, and just lost with a 15 to the dealer with a 7-card 17.
Oh, Brad, I mean,
I showed it to you.
You sure did, and that's the point where I say,
that's cruel.
I've had fun today. I'll see y'all another time.
Yeah, I'm headed to the buffet. I've had enough of this.
The worst luck.
Also, could have done without this. We're getting to the point for college football. Big Ten and SEC aren't playing around anymore. No more hacky sack, no more tomfoolery. They're not waiting on the Ivy League or even the ACC or the Big 12. Those days are over. Their complete takeover of the power structure of college football is happening.
No, I think you're right. I'm with you. Oh, where are you beaming tonight?
Michigan at Northwestern. Chris Collins' Wildcats can't stumble tonight against Michigan. Juwan Howard, he's on the way out. 119-59 all-time Michigan over Northwestern. That includes 7 straight overall and 3 straight at Welsh Ryan on campus in Evanston.
Yeah, that should be a really good one. Beam me tonight to the Clippers-Thunder game. I've talked about it a lot, but Clippers right now in 3rd, Thunder right now in 2nd in the West. That should be a
Give me the love fest between LeBron and Steph on TNT late.
Yeah, 2 really
SMU at FAU is going to be good. We got to watch that.
A lot of games in college basketball, and I think like 64 games tonight in college basketball.
Ohio State at Minnesota is kind of bubblicious.
Yeah, I like that one too. Some really good games in college. A good slate to start the NBA back up, so it should be a really fun night of basketball. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you tomorrow afternoon. We're going to be live from the Crazy Coop out in Bartlett. Let me remind you, come out there. We're going to be giving away Tiger tickets, so we'll see you there tomorrow.